Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't, driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
To know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
and you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here, we do.
Hello and welcome, Overwatch fans, to EGFC Season 4, Week 12. We have some great matchups coming at you today. Starting off with our University of Delaware versus DePaul University matchup. This is looking like an interesting match today, isn't it?
Yeah, it is looking incredibly interesting, as are all of the matches going on today unchanged, with the only a couple of weeks left before we start thinking about the postseason. All teams are looking to make their postseason pushes and put themselves in the best position possible as we enter like win or go home situation.
Yeah, they certainly are. That is very certainly showing in the standings as well, as we can look at what these teams are currently sitting at right now.
Yeah, very interesting, obviously, looking at the way that the standings are going right now. Our top two teams we're going to be able to see in the first two games of the night. We have Delaware, of course, coming up right now against DePaul, who are just sitting on the outside looking in at this top 10. They are currently sitting at 3-8 overall, which is why they're sitting underneath Northern Arizona. They will be able to, of course, with the win, be able to break into that top 10. Meanwhile, Delaware sitting at number 2, just barely chasing behind UTK at number 1. We're going to be seeing them up against number 9 Connecticut later on today. So there is obviously, let's not sugarcoat it here. We got the number 1 and number 2 teams going up against the number 9 and number 11 teams. There is obviously a favorite in both of these games. However, I know the quality of these programs enough to know that the upset alert is always on the table.
Oh, very much so. You never want to underestimate these underdog teams, particularly a team in 11th that is really looking to push their way into this top 10. You know, these teams are really fighting for survival this late into the season, so you never want to count anyone out, especially when we get to look at some of the rosters that these teams have. Mm-hmm. They're full of good players. So yeah, it's interesting to see how they play it out when we get into game. Yeah. So for that, we've got to look at what our map pool is for this week.
Yes, we are going to be starting off today on Ilios, going into the fan favorite Kings Row, followed by what I've seen as not as much the fan favorite push map, but does have to be done. Coliseum will be our push map, followed by Circuit Royale, and then Busan. What I'm noticing going into this game is that you've got two maps at the start where a lot of the times you tend to play fairly up close. Kings Row, especially Ilios, on some sub-maps, you can definitely get away with playing poke comps, but I tend to see a lot more of like rush or dive comps played on it right now, so you can maneuver around the map quicker. And then in the second half, you kind of get a lot more long-range pokey compositions. Coliseum and Circuit Royale are characterized by the long sight lines that you can use snipers for or flyers for.
Yeah, certainly is the truth. So it's interesting to see, maybe we'll get to see one team have some dominance in the first half and then see a reverse sweep or comeback in the end. It all depends on map preference. Obviously, we're still not that far out from having a big change up in the game and having a lot of change to the rosters. So have you got any ideas on what you think is like the current best meta before we get into this match?
Well, as Ideal Warrior and Zeph are currently showing, Wrecking Ball is currently a very popular tank. Of course, getting some really nice cooldown decreases, getting some really nice shielding on top of that. Already intimidating 700 health pool is a massive improvement for Wrecking Ball's survivability, which means you can just get into the back and disrupt as much as possible. Nate on the Sombra is going to try and assist with that.
Yeah, and here we see the hack coming out already to try and stop Zafe's ball from engaging. So a lot of damage pumped into this ball, having to back out and slow down on this engagement. But the rest of the team not able to quite follow up with kills yet. Discord orbs coming out onto everyone from Junow right now. Just looking to burst people down. And Pod does get the first pick, and it is Zafe that goes down first, thanks to the Tracer from this Delaware side. But can the rest of the team follow up and sustain? Zeph already also swapping over on to the Winston as Junow now trades out Noob. So that's 2 players down for DePaul University. A nice clean fight looking here for Delaware, and they are going to clean up everyone else as Zafin and Dats fall. Zafe gets back on the point but goes down very quickly as well. Looks like a point flip now for Delaware.
Odd 36,000 already having that pulse bomb online just goes to show how involved the Tracer is in this comp and getting into the back and trying to finish off the kills that Ideal Warrior, Nate, and Junow all set up. It is all a system in this sort of dive comp that University of Delaware have set up. Discord orb, hack, kill.
It is indeed, and then we see the hack coming out again onto Zafe's tank, having to stall out a lot of his engagements, slowing down, having to play around that. And in the backline though, Pod engages and dies. Nice headshot from Creeps there on the Kiriko. That headshot damage dealing 140 takes that Tracer down very quickly. Now the rest of DePaul University looks to take advantage of that and push in, but not if Hyper has anything to say about it. Noob on the other hand does have a lot to say with that pulse bomb stick onto Junow, getting a kill. That's the backline and a lot of the damage out for this Delaware side, and DePaul have flipped the point now, so we're looking to just try and stack on the rest of this Delaware team and take them out one by one. But still being invested now. That's the hack coming out from Nate to try and win the fight back, but Safin using the coalescence kind of counters that, and the rest of the team with Kitsune Rush online as well from Creeps does still survive. So Nate looking to try and flip that, but not able to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a little bit of a late investment there from Nate. University of Delaware put a lot into that fight in something that they had already lost and already given up the point for. Of course, now we do see a bunch of swaps from the team into more of a brawl comp. You're holding on to Zenyatta, and I know it's because of the Transcendence, but Zen Lucio is just no healing.
It isn't, but with Ideal Warrior getting that pin kill onto Dates in the middle of the Death Blossom, that does set the fight up pretty well. As you said, the Transcendence already being used. Junow gets a kill onto Noob though, so trading out both Traces, it's still advantage Delaware right now, but not with Zafe pummeling Junow into the corner. Nate does get the trade out kill, and the point is still in favor of DePaul though, as they have to try and push on. Now they've got 3 people on point, and it does look like it's just Safin on the Moira trying to stall out this contest now, and Nate does take them down.
Junow luckily was able to finish the fight pretty quickly there, and because of that, you're able to settle into the full brawl comp with the Baptiste now. So Delaware's goal now is trying to stay as close together as possible so it can take full advantage of those AoE healing grenades that Junow has to offer.
Yeah, Noob, however, getting the stick on the Pod is a nice way to set that fight up, and then Dates already making Junow use their immortality field. Ideal Warrior getting the kill onto Zephy though, so this point is being harshly contested. Pod came straight back in and traded the kill back onto Dats's cast, so what looked like an impressive start of a push from DePaul does get kind of fought off by this brawl comp of Delaware.
Losing Junow is massive, though. That was your main healer for Delaware, so if Noob is feeling really aggressive right now, almost up to that pulse bomb, you can definitely go in and try and get something done, but Hyper taking out Safin is going to pretty much shut the door on that one. Big support for big support. Even though DePaul did manage to flip the point over and are going to prevent Delaware from getting the point at this moment, it's only a matter of time before it's going to be swapped back again.
Yeah, these dive characters can only sustain themselves on this point for so long, but we do see the stall coming out quite aggressively there from DePaul. Delaware's brawl comp able to break it down in the end though, and Ideal Warrior holding on to that shatter before this fight starts.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. Again, you don't need a big shatter. Everyone's playing really far apart right now. If you can get the shatter, knock someone down, confirm 1 kill, that's all Delaware needs to take this round.
Yeah, and he doesn't even need the shatter to confirm that first kill. Gets Dats's soldier down already, and Junow with the window gets a kill onto Zafe, so that bull's insane amount of health does get burst down eventually. Creeps came in to try and survive and help the bull with the sustain, but couldn't do so. Do see Ideal Warrior finally using that shatter at the end, but the rest of the DePaul team was not quite able to get on point yet. So an interesting fight there. Lots of swaps, kind of the standard Overwatch 2 play there, dividing of counter picking the enemy.
Yeah, once Delaware swapped over onto that Reinhardt-based brawl comp, it really felt like DePaul University were playing behind the 8-ball from that point forward. I was talking that last fight about how it seemed like the Shatter was Delaware's biggest weapon, but the weapon was actually Ideal Warrior's hammer, just charging forward with the speed boost of Hyper. There was absolutely nothing that DePaul University could do when Ideal Warrior just ran into them like that. Now, of course, we are going to move back over onto the ball comp because we're going to Lighthouse. There's a lot of room for that wrecking ball to swing around, a lot of environmental kill places potentially for someone to get knocked off if they're not careful.
Yeah, especially with Noob taking that much damage off the start. Looks like a lot of spam coming in from Junao's Zenyatta. But DePaul kind of anchoring themselves in this high ground right now, waiting for Delaware to engage on them. And Junao's happy for that to happen, just getting a lot of poke here already at 36%, but takes a lot of poke in return themselves, nearly down to Noob, but Noob is the first one to drop, and it's Junao peeking out again, getting the kill on them. So that's the opening pick onto that fight. Losing the Sojourn damage allows the rest of this Delaware team to now play a bit more aggressively, especially with Zafe being a little bit split from the core of that team. They're going to try and rotate onto them now. With this team coming in, here we see Nate and Pod trying to get alpha angles, but low! That is literally 1 HP. That Zen landing some nice shots on the Cassidy, and now we see the rest of the DePaul team looking to try and push on this point. Can they get a pick? And can they get the flip that they're so desperately looking for? It doesn't look like they're there yet, but already having to use all the cooldowns from Pod. They do have the boot though, and there it is, both DPS off the point. That's a good way to start. Trading it out with Pod, but it's a 2-for-1 trade. I think Delaware will happily take that, and now with the Transcendence online and Hyper brawling on point, they should be able to win this. They do still obviously have the point in their favor, and Junao getting kills, mopping that up, killing Sap, and it's just Zeph left. It should be the Sigma dying, yes.
DePaul theoretically should have better point presence. They should be able to take and hold space easier than Delaware can, but if they get too comfortable on the point, Ideal Warrior will strike. Not only did that fight make sure the Delaware held on to the point, it made sure they did it without having to use any ultimates. And as soon as Hyper gets that last 3%, it is going to be a completed row of check marks on the left side of your screen. Delaware has every tool necessary to close this map out.
They do indeed. It's nearing last fight territory, but Hyper's not going to be able to use theirs. Going down already. The creeps his poke. We do see the EMP and the slam. That's a huge amount of damage coming out already. Nice combination there from Ideal Warrior, and then the minefield on point to split this team and deny the engage. Flux being committed here from Zeph, and Noob landing a lot of shots, getting the kills onto Junao on that backline and finishing off Ideal Warrior as well. The Sojourn going crazy here to flip the point for DePaul. Can they secure the final kills that they need to flip it? Yes, they do. Pod goes down. Noob with a 4K there in that fight.
No matter how many nerfs Sojourn gets in this Overwatch 2 meta, it seems like she's still always able to pull off things like that. Noob comes up absolutely huge, even in the face of a 4-ult fight from the University of Delaware to keep DePaul alive in this map. But it is going to take perfection, and probably Noob to pop off again here with the overclock that is currently online.
Yeah, they will, and the high noon from that Zen, though, should be enough to try and secure some kills. Let's see what they do. The sleep landed already onto Ideal Warrior, so that's a lot of damage out, but 2 kills again. Ideal Warrior gets a double environmental. It's zapping a Noob. This time off the point, rolls through, back in again, and gets that Zen, though. So the Bulls turn to get a 4K and flip the point here for University of Delaware.
I mean, it wasn't just the fact that you got 2 kills. Those were probably the 2 most impactful kills that you could have gotten if you're a Wrecking Ball there. The Sojourn had the overclock already available. The Ana was just about to get up to that nano boost. You could have potentially comboed those 2 ultimates together. You could have put it on anyone. They would have been an absolute force to be reckoned with for DePaul. But Ideal Warrior right here in this play of the game, actually, I'm just now talking about it. It just flips the entire map on its head. And I mean, I'm gonna be frank, absolutely won the map for University of Delaware there, at least for that last fight. It was perfect Wrecking Ball play on the side of Ideal Warrior.
It was exactly what the team needed. You know, those kills, like you said, killing the vital players that have their ults online, that we're looking to potentially flip the fight in DePaul's favor in Delaware. Just quite literally roll in and shut that down entirely with the environmentals. It's such a big part of the game. So what we got to take from that, though, Dividing, is DePaul had some very good moments, but it just looks like when it comes to synergy, the re-engages are so clean from Delaware.
Yeah, they are really good at being able to identify weak points in the DePaul setup and being able to exploit them, especially because of how good they are at their dives. You could tell their entire composition is designed around identifying a single target and just putting everything at once on them to try and melt them down as fast as possible. The Sombra hack, the Discord Orb, characters like Wrecking Ball and Tracer that are able to get into the back really quickly. It's just all about being hyper aggressive on some of the squishier members of DePaul, and it is working out extremely well for them. That being said, when we move on to our next map of Kings Row, you could technically run Wrecking Ball. I'm not saying I've never seen it done, but it wouldn't really be recommended. You just can't use Wrecking Ball quite as effectively. You don't have as much room to maneuver with all of those narrow corridors and 90-degree turns that the map has to offer.
Yeah, certainly. Although we have already on that first map, or first point of the Ilios map, we did see them swap over to the Brawl comp, so it seems like they are quite comfortable on that as well. So maybe the Rhine Brawl that we saw Delaware roll out would be more of what we expect to see from them coming into this this first point. But yeah, Kings Row, like you said, different play style to Ilios, very different setup on some of the angles. Those 90-degree turns and narrow corridors have always been, you know, the Rhine-centric heavy map. You see it in comp games all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They ask from tank to tank, can we go for this Rhine mirror? I'll be interested to see if that's what we see from DePaul and Delaware now, if we see that kind of that rollout, or potentially the Jokes comp that's kind of come back into meta as well, Dividing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have not seen Delaware shy away from the Reinhardt compositions. Reinhardt has actually not been getting talked about enough about the buffs that he got in the last patch. Actually very significant. Having that Fire Strike increase from 90 DPS to 20 when you get hit by it is, sorry, 90 to 20, 90 to 100. Math is hard, guys. Numbers are hard. It's actually a really huge break point, because now you have 2 Fire Strikes. If you hit them both on a 200 health target, they're dead. If you hit someone through an amplification matrix from Baptiste, they're dead. It's actually such a crucial break point that makes Ryan so much more of an intimidating character at range. So that is something you're going to have to be looking at here, and I think that's exactly why Ideal Warrior and Zeph have Juno and Safin at their sides, respectively, on the Baptiste.
Yeah, it is indeed. That immortality field and that matrix so vital in these team comps. And we first off see a rotation all the way through top right, trying to get some scouting there from Noob's Hanzo. The wall comes out, doesn't quite get the split that was intended, but the wall from Dat Zen does, forcing out the immortality field and getting Ideal Warrior incredibly low. That they do go down to the Storm Arrow of Noob, so now the rest of the whole team has the space that they want to try and push, and the split comes out. Nate had to rotate, so point control now in favor of DePaul.
You cannot ask for much better from your Mei in that situation. That Zendo does a fantastic job of separating the Rhine from their team. That being said, Delaware is posturing for a recontest here.
They are, but they don't get it, and instead all they waste is more cooldowns. The immortality field out once again. Wall got used to try and split the point, but nothing coming from it, so now it just gives DePaul time to set up and anchor their positions, and it does look like ults are in favor of the DePaul University team as well.
They are in favor of DePaul, though I do want to point out the fact that Delaware are running Hyper on the Lucio. DePaul doesn't have that, so without that speed boost, they can't be quite as aggressive.
No, and without their Baptiste, they can't be as aggressive either. Immortality field down, nice headshot landed from Pod, and some nice left click action there as well, dealing insane damage with that. Mei picks up 3 kills. flip that fight for Delaware, and now they've anchored themselves in this defensive position under Arch.
And that's exactly why you run the Lucio in this situation, Unchanged. We saw how they were able to use that speed boost to be able to just surge through the archway and catch DePaul University off guard. That being said, this shouldn't be off guard for long because they are having 4 ultimates coming up in the next few moments.
They are in here. We see the first one getting used, but it's pods actually being used first to counter the nano that got put onto Zafe. Some more kills now coming out for University of Delaware. DePaul tried to engage that quickly with the nano boost, but it gets shut down by the Blizzard, and then the rest of the University of Delaware team rushes in to mop up those kills.
Yeah, this map started off with that Zen, though, having some fantastic Mei walls to put DePaul in a very good position. That being said, now that you are at the archway, a defensive Mei is one of the strongest characters you could ever have in this situation, and Pod is making it known. It is just so difficult to push through with all of the defensive tools that Mei has available to her.
It is indeed, but Mei having to use some of those defensive tools now, already being blocked in. The High Noon comes out from Nate to try and counter the rush that was coming in from DePaul University. A lot of ults online. We've seen the beat used as well, and Ideal Warrior then killed Zafe thanks to that sustain. If they can kill the Mei here on point, that should be another fight win for Delaware. So having the ults being invested by DePaul, but still no flip. They just can't push through this anchored hold of Delaware.
Now down to about 3.5 minutes on the clock. I mean, considering how fast DePaul took point A, this really is about half of their total time bank, and they are still struggling to get through the first major obstacle at point B. It does not bode well because the entirety of the Streets phase is still ahead of them, and you lose that Zen, though, while you are trying to set up for a Blizzard. I mean, that is basically the end of the fight right there. DePaul are going to try and back out, but Ideal Warrior says, no, you're not backing out on me. You're backing all the way back to spawn. That's going to be another 10-15 seconds before DePaul can try again.
Yeah, nice use of the Shatter, and really he could afford to use it with Junao and Pod coming up on their ults as well. DePaul, yeah, just getting anchored here. They need to get that Zendo into a good position to use this Blizzard, because that can be such a heavy ult to try and counter for DePaul. They need to use it effectively and get some kills so that they can push through this archway here, and that looks like exactly what they're setting up for. There's the wall. There's the Blizzard thrown out, but it's coming out from Pod instead. An Ideal Warrior then gets a pin kill onto Zephy, and it's just aggression and speed that's been the advantage so far. Delaware just the team on top here dividing.
And now how long that Zendo has been holding on to this Blizzard has become a little bit of a problem. I feel like DePaul is trying really hard to set up for a perfect Blizzard play. Because of how aggressively Delaware are able to play with their Lucio, they simply are on top of them before that Zendo can feel like they get set up. You don't need to have a perfect Blizzard that catches 5. You just need to confirm kills.
Yeah, they do indeed, and that looks like they might finally be able to do it now. If they can kill the Immortality Cube, they can kill Ideal Warrior, and they do just that. The High Noon comes out for Nate, but as we see from a lot of Cassidy's, it doesn't quite confirm a kill, so only Ideal Warrior going down. The rest of the DePaul University are going to fight out using that Lucio to try and regroup with their Rhine to contest on one of these corners of second point here.
I don't know if DePaul are listening into the stream right now, but that's exactly what I wanted them to do. It wasn't a perfect Blizzard, but it was enough to secure them the fight win and get them much needed cart progress. And that was a nice shatter block from Zeph. Wow, nice Rhine play from him.
Yeah, shatter block into a nano, allowing Zeph to go aggressive, but it does get countered by the beat, but it's not going to be enough. The shatter then comes out, landing on the core of that Delaware team, and if DePaul can just chunk down some of these heroes, they've got the advantage here. Ults have been used. They need to try and win this fight, or it's going to get stalled out here at the end, and then the defense are going to have the advantage. Huge anti onto Ideal Warrior, and that is enough to confirm the kill. The healing boost onto Zafe as well keeps them alive, and now the rest of this DePaul team start to go aggressive. The Rhine is down. There is no more shield defending the Delaware side. They just need to confirm the kills and finish this Mei on point, and this should be second point cap for them indeed.
The Streets phase did not go quite as planned for DePaul. They were stuck there for almost 5 full minutes, but they get through. They get that much needed time extension, and they get 2 minutes on the clock to try and push through towards the end. The important part is they actually have some ultimates coming up back up now, but Hyper picking up that Zen, though, is gonna force at least a soft reset here for DePaul. They don't want to lose any more people to this, especially not their main tank.
Yeah, not having wall, as you said before, is such a huge utility on this map. They're not going to fully disengage, though. They know that they have the ults in their favor. And there we see the window and dragon coming out already. Blizzard gets used by Pod to counter it, but no one is dead yet. Just the immortality field down, and now the nano online again for Zafe. There's a nice shot, and the rest of the rush. They get the kill onto Ideal Warrior and Pod, and that's enough to set up the fight for DePaul. It looked scrappy. They were kind of backing out, but they knew they had the ults to favor them.
It was a nice fight for DePaul. They're coming up at the end of the map, but was it too much, Unchanged? They used 4 ultimates in that one. They only have the Blizzard left, which gets used to try and hold with Delaware in their spawn. There's going to be the beat use. Someone's got to touch, but if they can, Delaware should have the ultimates to maybe get back into this.
They should, but do they? Nate and Junao do get the kills. The window is actually going to be a huge utility to them just to chunk down the heroes that are on point. The immortality field comes out, keep Pod and Hyper alive in it. That is indeed enough to flip it, and they didn't have to use Ideal Warrior's Shatter. It was a scrappy fight, but using that beat just to get a spawn from Hyper was certainly needed for that recontest.
That was absolutely as great as it could have been for University of Delaware. So incredibly close, but now there's one more fight, and with the Dragon Strike, with the Shatter, it should theoretically be able to hold here, unless there's some crazy individual play from DePaul.
And it doesn't look like there is, not even a touch. As you said, the Shatter and Dragon combo was there. They didn't need the Shatter because the Dragon just came through in that little room that DePaul had unfortunately locked themselves into. But one thing I have to say is that it is ultimately a good push, given, I mean, the way it started, it looked like they were going to roll, but given how they got locked under that archway dividing, I think DePaul will be happy that they nearly pushed it all the way through third.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point where I thought for sure DePaul was getting held at the archway, and in that case, that would be a very, very achievable fight win for Delaware. They probably only need to win like 2 fights to be able to win the map. With this, I mean, I think it was 0.68 meters away from finishing the map proper. So basically, you're just in the mentality, you just can't stop Delaware from full capping it to win this map and tie it up 1-1. Being able to take a map off of the number 2 team in EGF at the moment would be absolutely massive for this team's confidence going into what is like the final quarter of the season. I will say they are not currently playing like the number 11 team in the rankings. This is a pretty solid squad.
It is indeed. We said earlier about the way these rosters are, you know, no team in this tournament is that weak, especially teams sitting at 11th, and we said you shouldn't count them out, and they're proving why, even against the second seed tonight, having a very good performance. We see Nate actually coming out on the Widow to start, maybe feeling a little bit zesty, but Sleep comes onto Ideal Warrior to kind of stall that out.
Yeah, you give it a try. Do you find it interesting that Nate is going to be on the Hanzo instead of the Cassidy of Noob? It's not as consistent, but those headshots, one-shots, could be massive for Delaware if you hit one.
Yeah, and Storm Arrow's so good at breaking shields and bursting down the Zen, or the Rhine indeed, but Noob actually being the first one to get the kills. Like you said, the Cassidy is huge, but Ideal Warrior trades it out with a pin onto Noob, and now they're on the backline. Hyper and Pod chasing with him, get the kill onto Safin, but Zeph trades it back out for Ideal Warrior. So I feel like this is still ultimately going to be a defensive hold from DePaul, but they're giving away ticks here.
This aggression is frankly stupid. If this was happening in my ranked games, I would be so upset. But the fact is, it's so stupid that it actually worked for the Blue Hens. They hold the entirety of DePaul off a point, try and chase after the Reinhardt, chase after the Lucio, and then once people stopped by and started getting ticks, it confused DePaul so much. Do you go after the Rhine? Do you go back onto the point? Neither. You go back to spawn because you're so confused you get chunked down. I don't want to endorse you do this in your ranked games, but it was a very nice play from Delaware.
Yeah, when it works, it works. It's as simple as that. Delaware just playing with confidence here, it would seem, but DePaul are looking to try and push back in, but they don't get that arch hold that is vital on this point, so they're not going to be able to lock it down quite as well as Delaware did. But if they can push through and get some kills here with ults, but no, not with Ideal Warrior landing a Shatter. The only one that gets saved is Zafe with the Suzu, but the Blizzard comes in to follow up. They knew they had no defensive cooldowns, and Delaware again getting a clean fight to kill DePaul.
Absolutely beautiful there from Ideal Warrior. That one gets through the shield of Zafe, and that is going to cause them to just roll through. I mean, at this point in the map, DePaul was still stuck at the archway. DePaul was knocking at the door at the end of point B. That being said, DePaul are coming back in with the Blizzard and both support ultimates, so if you can hold them here, the end of point B is a really nice defensive place to hold.
It is indeed. The Nano Kitsune rush already being committed, so getting Zafe to go aggressive after Junao had used a window, but Delaware smartly just kiting away using hyper speed.
It's beautiful because DePaul use both support ultimates. Delaware know that they can't just engage in that. They just back away, soft reset, and now they've taken out the Reinhardt. This is incredible situational game planning from Delaware.
It is, and now rushing back in using that beat and speed from Hyper. They're going to confirm more kills. That Zeno goes down. Ideal Warrior gets a kill onto Creep, and then Pod cleans up with kills onto Noob and Nate, finishing Zafin. So yeah, like you said, really nice ebb and flow, backing out and speeding in, using Hyper's speed to their advantage. Definitely having a Lucio player looking to be favorable on this map.
And that's something that DePaul just doesn't have. You don't have that Lucio speed boost. You can't just like engage and disengage at will. And there's that one-shot potential from Nate, taking out Creeps. Absolutely massive as Delaware continue to march their way down King's Row.
Marching indeed, a nice block shatter there. Ideal Warrior then gets his back in return, and look at that Zendo on the off-angle. Noob, I think, accidentally fell off the map there as well, so the pool's starting to fall apart here on this last defense, and now this should be a close kind of spawn hold with the shatter and the 4 ults online for Delaware.
Yeah, they cross the final corner, and it is desperation time here for DePaul University. Noob on the Widowmaker, Zeph on the Wrecking Ball, just trying to touch, trying to use that one-shot potential to get something, anything done.
Yeah, but the shatter then comes out from Ideal Warrior. Noob was already dead. That confirms the kill onto Zafin. They're just chunking down Zafe, and that should be a map win again for the University of Delaware. And ultimately, it kind of just fell down to aggressiveness. That confidence and rush, the speed advantage that Delaware had was what really seemed to win it for them in the end there. And huge plays from this man, Ideal Warrior, on the Rhine.
It is absolutely massive, the things that Ideal Warrior did on this Reinhardt. Actually kind of disgusting, but I really think that the biggest difference between Delaware and DePaul in that map was the fact that Delaware was playing Lucio the whole time. It is no mistake that Lucio is seen all the time in the pro scene when you're playing brawls like this, because you can use the speed boost both as an aggressive and a defensive tool to take space or relinquish space if you think it is necessary. We saw University of Delaware use it in both ways in a lot of different situations. Hyper did a fantastic job, and that maneuverability that DePaul simply couldn't match, it caused them to have it caused them fits throughout the entire match, and they just were not able to stand up against it. Even though theoretically with their Ana Kiriko comp, they have more healing, that doesn't matter when there are 5 people swinging on your Reinhardt at the same time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you can't get engaged on them, but for now, DePaul will have a little bit of time to rest. We're going to take a quick break, so some time to rethink for DePaul and some time for Delaware to figure out what they're going to be doing on the next map. But yeah, little break from us now. We'll be back with more Overwatch shortly.
Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't, driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
To know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
and you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here, we do.
Welcome back again. We're going to head straight into our third map of this University of Delaware versus DePaul University matchup. It's going to be Coliseo now dividing. I know you had some interesting thoughts about this map indeed.
I am not a massive fan of... listen, I don't hate Coliseo. I just think it is the worst of the 3 push maps currently in the game. That's all I'm saying. I think we end up in these situations where there's just this super long sight line in the middle of the map, and you end up just having 2 teams poke at each other from long range for a ridiculously long time until eventually someone gets a headshot and gets a kill, and then the map really gets started. There was the infamous 2-minute first fight in Overwatch League in Coliseo where everyone was just poking at each other and nothing actually happened. That being said, Delaware don't seem to have that on their playbook today. They're going with a hyper-aggressive dive composition, while DePaul University are trying to go for something a little more long range. So my question is if anyone from DePaul can pick off a member of Delaware before they close the distance.
Yeah, and very close there to Juno going down, but there we see the hack and the engage. So Delaware again showing that this dive style really fits with their playstyle. They are aggressive, and Nate gets 2 kills off the back of it. Ideal Warrior and the rest of the team goes down very quickly there. Just the sheer aggression and coordination of this Delaware team is lethal.
It is absolutely... I mean, Noob had no chance. They were on top of him and he was dead in 3 seconds. It's insane. That being said, there's a little bit of revenge, getting a nice headshot on Junal. So even though Delaware is going to get the first amount of meterage on this objective, it's only a matter of time before DePaul push back in with that man advantage.
Yeah, not having Discord as well, that's a huge amount of damage out for the Delaware team. And here we see Zephy menacingly walking in towards Hyper, forcing that Brig to back out as well, really taking all of the healing away from the Delaware team. But they're not giving up yet. They are still fighting. We see this Tracer and Bull poking out, having to deal with that Zendo on the high ground with the cast, and does slam, but the rest of the team is there, and yet Ideal Warrior does fall with no healing online for them. So now DePaul starting to push back in with their more sustainable comp.
I think Delaware should just back off and try and get a full reset here, because they have the tools to be able to take control of this map back. They have the pulse bomb, they have the EMP, you're almost up to the mines as well. You just gotta breathe for a second and let yourself poke for long enough for those ultimates to come online.
Yeah, exactly what they needed to do, but not exactly what happens with Noob getting that first pick onto Nate. Pod trades it out for a kill onto that Zen though, so losing the cast, kind of losing that denial hero of the dive, and now we see the dive and the minefield coming out from Ideal Warrior, really chunking down Zephy, moves him back into another mine to finish him off as well, and gets the pressure here onto Creeps. All the resources being used here to try and keep that Ana alive, and they do indeed. So changing heroes, trying to get more kills, but Noob again with another headshot. This time it gets Pod down. The boop actually, I think, helped that Dragon to get a bit more damage across the point, but Juno trades the kill back onto Noob, so another scrappy fight, but it's still progression in favor of Delaware.
My issue with DePaul's comp right now, and it seems like their only win condition, is Noob getting a headshot. That seems like the only way they're able to convert fight wins. Meanwhile, Delaware have shown that they have a multitude of people and a multitude of ways to get that opening pick and finish off a fight. Like this EMP from Nate.
Yeah, a huge EMP from Nate, and it's obscured going down first on the Brigitte. The rest of the team able to now rush in Discord's online. I'm sure they'll be calling the targets out with good coordination to try and finish off these kills. There is a slam onto the hack. That then, though, the cast drops. Creeps goes down with the Discord orb on them, and then it's not long for this world with Zephy on the SIG.
Yeah, I mean, with the rally at their backs, University of Delaware they are going to just continue pushing. They should have enough time here to at least get right up to those forward spawns, if not get right there. That being said, DePaul, if they really want to let it go this fight, they have 4 ultimates at their disposal. Oh, that's a lot of CC onto Ideal Warrior, and the tank goes down, but not before the forward spawns are unlocked. So Ideal Warrior will be back in just a moment.
And Zephy did use the grav flux there on the Sigma. You know, really wanted to confirm that kill onto Ideal Warrior, but with the sleep and the rock already landed, that was kind of enough to confirm that kill. So now only 3 ults online for DePaul, nearly 4 with Noob again, but it should be enough to flip this fight.
Yeah, but the mines again from Ideal Warrior have proven to be a bother, and the support line for DePaul goes down immediately. Creeps dives with the nano boost, which could have been huge to try and save Zeph. That being said, Pod has overstepped their boundaries just a little bit, so we're back in a sort of neutral situation right now, which does not favor DePaul. They are playing from behind, and Delaware is perfectly fine. Just continue letting time drain off this clock.
Yeah, that's exactly what they need to play. That's kind of how you win this map. And now we see the Dragons and High Noon being used from DePaul University. Both DPS ults not getting any kills. So waiting for this engage from Nate. The Sombra looking menacing in the backline. Ideal Warrior is going to look to slam on whoever is hacked. They do indeed. They burst him down, but Creeps manages to just stay alive with the nade. And in the meantime, Junao has to use Transcendence to keep the backline alive, but they do manage to finally get a kill. It's Ideal Warrior getting the kill onto that Zen, though. The cast goes down, Obscure pushes in and gets Pod, but look at this support line. The Zen Brig able to survive solo. Zeph trying to kill, but not able to, and it's just another scrappy fight in this midsection here.
Yeah, it's incredibly scrappy, and again, Delaware are perfectly fine to just take as long as possible and just make sure that DePaul has as little time to work as they can. They will finally start getting some more meterage here, but they used a lot of ultimates to do it. They are still running with the rally, still running with the gravitic flux, which whiffs. Zeph does not catch Ideal Warrior with it, and which is that something you're going to want back, because there is going to be a flurry of ultimates coming up from Delaware in just a moment.
There is indeed, but Pod dropping down. I think they were looking to try and get the sticky on to that Brig, but got denied. Now rally from Obscura instead, trying to flip the fight, but Ideal Warrior takes down Creep, so it's just the rallying Brig healing for DePaul University. Is that going to be enough to sustain against this dive comp? I think not, so looking to try and back out and just anchor on cart while this Delaware team keeps fighting. Hacks online, takes out Zafe, who was using the grasp there, but Pod drops as well, so never mind, yet another scrappy fight. Here we see ult being used, Hyper having to use the Brig rally to sustain their team. Now the trance comes out as well, because Junao was so low. They do win the fight, but more ults invested, I think, for Delaware than intended.
Yeah, especially that Transcendence at the very end from Junao, maybe not necessary from Delaware. They're kind of working with nothing when it comes to their ultimate economy. That being said, if there's anything like that's been all game long, this is not going to be that way for very long. Pod taking out Creeps is also massive. That is your main healer for DePaul. So even though you have both DPS ults coming up, you're still at a disadvantage without that Kiriko healing.
Yeah, but Delaware happy to just kind of back off and almost bait DePaul engage, and there we do see the Dragons coming out, but Pod blinks back into it. Oh no, he was low looking for healing and instead gets taken down. So actually this sets up a spot for DePaul to try and engage off the back of. Yeah,
this is tough position right now for Delaware. They are forced backwards. That being said, Nate has been working his way up to another EMP. Is gonna have it in just a moment. Creeps is down again. That Kiriko has just not been able to play the game recently, and now you have to try and stay out of the line of sight of that Zen, though. That is exactly what University of Delaware do. Really great job of understanding the win condition of DePaul, playing around, making sure they can't fulfill that. And because of this, they get to take control of the bot, they get to get even more meterage, and they still have the mines, they still have the EMP. They're in a very strong position as we enter the final 2 minutes of the map.
Yeah, just Creeps kind of TPing in and then getting hacked, not having the cooldowns, allowed Ideal Warrior to slam in like he's been doing so well on this point. Nate is just targeting that backline. The pulse bomb coming in from Pod doesn't secure a kill, does cause a bit of a split for the DePaul team, but not before Zephy can kill Nate. So Flux now online, whiffs again, unfortunately, so not quite flipping the fight the way they'd have intended to with that ult. But once again, Delaware, as we see so often on push, are backing up to reset for another fight.
Yeah, Delaware understand their win condition, right? They are currently winning, and if things stay the same for the next 90 seconds, they will win. They don't need to get aggressive and play for more meterage that might cause a snowball effect that doesn't go in their favor. I think they're also probably aware that DePaul have both their support ultimates available.
Ooh, but look at Nate trying to set up for that EMP, gets taken down by Zafe. Took a lot of damage poked from that Zen though as well. So now the Delaware team having to back up and potentially reset again with both their DPS being low. If Pod can get out here, that will at least let them anchor for a re-engage, and sure we'll see the minefield coming out from Ideal Warrior soon. Not before Junow can get a pick onto Obscure. So the Brigitte out, no rally online for DePaul. There is that minefield, and look at how low Zafe goes. Discord on them as well. They're going to be pressured out heavily. Not full Pod goes down, but Ideal Warrior does get a kill with the minefield. It's creeps. Now Nate goes in and hacks and gets a kill onto Zafe, and that should be, there it is, a clean fight win for Delaware.
There are now 30 seconds left in the map. DePaul has to get something done here. That Endo taking out Ideal Warrior is kind of big in the short term. It means DePaul should be able to regroup themselves faster. That being said, Ideal Warrior, as Wrecking Ball, is going to be back very quick. There are 4 ultimates on both sides. Everyone except for the tanks have the check mark available. This could be a fiery end to the series.
Yeah, a bit of an early Kitsune rush use there, though, from Creeps.
Yeah.
It's not going to be able to get utilized in this actual fight, so already using that and Noob's Dragon. It's only 2 ults online for DePaul University, and now we're going to see the ult combo that is online for Delaware. Here's the coordination. EMP gets the kill with Ideal Warrior onto that Zendo, but then follow it up with another kill on the Creeps and Obscure. DePaul are falling like flies here as we see the coordination and aggression of that Delaware team. Once again, when it's needed, they hit targets all at the same time and chunk them down, and yet another map win for Delaware. That is a match win for this team here.
Beautifully done from the Blue Hens. I think they understood how many ultimates that DePaul had at their disposal and how consequential it could have been for them if they had allowed DePaul to set up their own fight like they preferred it to be. That's exactly why they didn't let that happen. They went for their own aggressive push before DePaul could get set up. And I think that has been a common theme throughout the match today. Delaware has just been a step faster throughout the entirety of the series, and that has been the main difference maker. They just caught DePaul off guard over and over and over again.
Yeah, they did indeed. I think something that me and you spotted coming into this game, dividing, was who's coaching that Delaware team. Maybe who's helping them with that level of coordination that they have. I feel like a little shout out maybe indeed needed for John _ that we saw hiding in that little VC that we can see. But
hey, John,
it certainly seemed like that. Yeah. Hi, John. It seems like your team has very good coordination. It is certainly what won it for this University of Delaware team. Like you said, I want to point out, I feel like they actually baited out some ults from DePaul. We saw Ideal Warrior fighting on an off angle and some pushes and some little poke that was coming in from that Delaware team. I feel like DePaul thought there was going to be an earlier last fight than there was, and so they popped their ults thinking, we can use this, we can take space, we can counter, and instead Delaware just backed up and went, cool, we don't need to fight you here. We can hide for a little bit and then we'll re-engage and we'll win off the back of that. And it's exactly what they ended up doing.
Yeah, it is absolutely incredible. Delaware has been able to accomplish not just in this game, but in this season of EGF in general. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be going to a quick break. And once we come back, Hyper from Delaware is going to be coming on for an interview, so you won't want to miss it.
And we're back again, Overwatch fans, and this time we have a little friend with us. It's the team captain of our winning team, Delaware, tonight, Hyper. After a very convincing win from their team, they're here to tell us just what their team feels like after kind of securing their spot at the top of this EGF table.
I mean, I think it always feels good to win. I mean, no matter who we're playing in the week, it's always fun to come play Overwatch against a good group of people. But yeah, I mean, ever since we became number one, it's just like there's a little bit of a target on our back. So it's
Sure.
making sure we come in every week and just performing our best, doing our best not to drop a single map is always the goal. But yeah, hopefully we carry this momentum throughout the rest of the spring and then into playoffs, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, I mean, that goal of not losing a single map, you absolutely achieved that tonight. The big difference maker that I noticed today was your team's overall coordination. I think you guys did a fantastic job of picking and choosing your engagements and who you wanted to engage on. Who do you credit on the team or outside of the team with being able to help you get that kind of team coordination and synergy? Because that's not easy to build up.
No, yeah, definitely. Especially with the Wrecking Ball meta, at first it was a big learning curve because our DPS and tanks, those are like traditionally their worst heroes, I would say. Like, not their comfort picks. We really like the Rhine stuff. But I think it really comes down to the coaching staff. Has been fantastic this spring. Really helping everybody get up to speed, and now those heroes have become like a comfort pick to them. They kind of understand the ins and outs. And when you look at a team like DePaul, where they're running that double flex support for at least most of the game, it was really easy to just like realize like, okay, they have such a fragile backline. Like we can just go in on their backline every time and get out if we want, or like it's just free reign. So I'm sure the guys were loving it in VC. It's always a good time.
I'm sure it was a fantastic time. I am looking at the schedule right now. You guys have not lost a match here in EGF since you lost 3-2 to William and Mary in week 4. That is all the way back in I think it's November of last year, early November of last year. So you are now on an 8-game winning streak. Not many teams in EGF are as hot as you guys are right now. My question to you, is there anyone in EGF that you are worried about facing for the rest of the season or in playoffs?
I think for the rest of the regular season, we're going to be very good. I don't think there's anybody particularly. There's a couple teams we always have our eye on, and we make sure we, really go into that game seriously. And I don't know. We like to have a lot of fun here at Delaware, so we just kind of go in each week and have a good time. But every once in a while, there's a team that makes us, sit up in our chairs, take things a little more seriously. But I think playoffs is the next time when we'll play a team where we have to worry a lot. I think some teams pop off in playoffs, and especially like, not knowing how we'll do in playoffs either is another unknown. So I think for the rest of the regular season, though, it's gonna hopefully look a lot like tonight.
We hope it does indeed. Yeah, it's always nice to see teams carry on the kind of progression and runs that you have, and hopefully you can keep doing that in the playoffs. You mentioned earlier about how the adjustment into the ball comp that's currently being ran. As an Overwatch player yourself, what is your thoughts on the current meta, and what is your favorite comp or like meta that you've ran in the past?
As far as right now, I think the ball comp is very good. I think for supports especially, like we had the same meta since the game came out. This is really the first time we're playing a support line like on multiple maps that isn't just Lucio and Kiriko. So that's always refreshing. And I think the general playstyle is a nice change from what we've had for the last 2 seasons. But as far as my favorite goes, I think this is definitely up there. I really enjoy the Brig. It's a little different. I've been getting used to the new kit. There's lots of little things that have changed. But yeah, I think the Wrecking Ball comp is one of my favorite comps to play for sure. And on a lot of these maps, it's just so good right now. So
Thank you. I'm always curious to hear a fellow support player's kind of mentality on the comps, and thank you so much for joining us and giving us your thoughts on this match and your team moving forward. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and it was a pleasure to cast your game. I'm sure Dividing agrees. It was a very fun match to watch.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a lot of fun to play, and you guys do a great job. I'll definitely watch back again later tonight, probably. It's always nice to see.
Well, I hope that we did a good enough job for you, and for us at EGF, that will be all for me tonight. Sorry, there is still plenty more of EGF Overwatch content coming up for you tonight, as we have plenty of more interesting matches coming up tonight, don't we, Dividing?
Yeah, coming up after this one, we're going to see our number one squad in EGF at this moment in time, Delaware, I think, just tied them in the rankings with the win. Tennessee, University of Tennessee going up against the University of Connecticut. So that will be a huge, huge game. Don't go anywhere for that.
Bigger than all of us. Our distinct fingerprints collectively shaping and forever changing what makes UConn, UConn. Forever making our mark. Forever making UConn a part of us.
And welcome back, tanks, healers, and damage dealers, to EGFC Season 4 Overwatch action as we continue on with University of Tennessee versus the University of Connecticut in their second week of the spring play.
Yes, absolutely. We've got an exciting match set up for you. The number one team in the rankings at this moment in time is going to be going up against the number 9 team right now. However, Connecticut are still very much in striking distance for being able to hit up into that top 5 if they end up being pretty perfect for the rest of the spring semester. So, obviously, this is a bit of a tough ask for today, but the fact that they are still staying relatively close to 500 tells me that this is a solid team that should not be underestimated by UTK.
Oh, no, I definitely concur with you. Despite the fact that UConn took such a hard blow by losing one of their primo players over the last year, they are still bucking it out with the best of them. Let's take a look at those rosters to see who we got coming in for the starting lineups of these two teams. Coming in for the Huskies, we've got Samo, Tizguy, Lamborghini, Goldfish, and Rich. Many of them in that Diamond to Masters category, and a lot of Grandmasters seem to be brandishing the UTK logo on their side there, Dividing.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested to see, because based on simply the rank logos that we have up here, I actually would want to give the initial advantage to UConn, because you do see a top 500 logo, you see a Grandmaster logo, Masters all the way down the board for UTK with Hydra, Duckstuff, Blamethy, Noodles, and Legacy. That being said, I know for a fact that University of Tennessee is at the number 1 spot for a reason when it comes to this kind of situation, especially in the last game. having a really good team synergy, being able to work together to target call and pick out weak players is absolutely crucial, especially with the meta that we are in at this moment in Season 3, which is mostly Wrecking Ball dive related.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see after the most recent update kind of how things are changing back to that early Overwatch 2 experience where it was very, very fast-paced kind of divey compositions that were finding a whole lot of value, and especially with Wrecking Ball kind of being back in the meta, has been a nice change of pace, so to speak. Looking at our map lineups for today, looks like we're heading into Ilios for our first map, shortly after with Kings Row, Coliseo, Circuit Royale, and should we need it, Busan, to end up our 5 maps of the evening. First to 3 takes it. So let's go ahead and head on in to the boopiest place I know, Ilios.
I mean, you'll love to see the environmental kills. We saw a bunch of environmental kills, not from a Lucio, but from a Wrecking Ball in the last game. So I'm really excited to see if we see something similar this time around coming out from one of the tanks here, either on Connecticut or Tennessee. That would be a lot of fun. But what I really like about this map pool for this week is that it really does reward teams that are good at a multitude of strategies. Going from Ilios to Kings Row to Coliseo, in just the first 3 maps, you go from a very dive-centric map to a very brawl-heavy map to a very poke-heavy map. So obviously you don't have to feel like you're trapped into those types, but it does reward teams that are very good at all 3.
No, I definitely concur with you there, and I want to give it a shout out ahead of time. Should I seem a little biased in this matchup, I apologize ahead of time. I am a Husky myself, so I will try to keep that under wraps as best as I can, but
Jack,
I love those power bumps, baby. I love them.
I will be biased for Tennessee to compensate.
Very well. I mean, they're first, so I mean, the bias is more so in the numbers than anything, but let's see if these Hounds have what it takes to be able to give UTK a little bit of the styling. So we already see the Wrecking Ball coming out here from Legacy, moving their way into the back line, finds the slam, gets the 3. Duxta not able to finalize up the elimination, but Hydra and Legacy are rolling on in, catching those final picks there. Tiz Guy's able to find one with the kunai, but it's not going to be enough to hold this line as UTK go ahead and start things off by claiming the ruins.
A beautiful tone setter there for UTK. Having Legacy on the Wrecking Ball and Noodles on the Lucio, Tennessee is simply faster than Connecticut right now in this comp. Connecticut needs a little bit of extra time to be able to set up their dives than Tennessee does, and that is costing them early on in this game.
And they have to be careful with Duxta on that Sombra in the backline. The slowness of setting up those attacks are going to make it even harder when you got that purple hacker in your backline being an absolute nuisance. As we see Rich pushing in, looking to see if they can get one of the supports in the backline of UTK. We're not seeing that same solidity on the side of Yukon. As we go ahead and see the minefield being unleashed. Legacy trying to keep everyone off point best they can. The eliminations come in. Rich finding Paravir in the back line. With the slam coming down, though, Legacy is looking to tie things up. But with Noodles down, it looks like Yukon is going to take the point.
And this is the trade-off of being able to have the kind of the double flex support and the Winston for University of Connecticut. They may not be as fast as Tennessee, but they are more sustainable in the mid to late fights. After the Suzu has been used, after the speed boost has been used, Tennessee is vulnerable. And this time around, Connecticut were able to stay alive. And they didn't even use any ultimates to do it, Jack. They have 4 online right now.
That's true, but Hydra's got this pulse bomb in the pocket. Looking for that back line. The Nano gets invested onto Rich. Ends up getting booped back by Noodles, so not going to be able to find the value they were looking for. And also hacked by Dust, having them get absolutely obliterated. But Tiz Guys ends up popping out the rally to counter with the with the Kitsune Rush and EMP invested, but UConn is holding on tight. Sound barrier now invested from Noodles to try to keep things going. A little tinnitus there for Tiz, guys, but the point is still in their control. Rich now investing the Primal Rage. Furious George on the point despite being hacked. Oh, steps off the point for just a second, and it is enough to flip it to UTK's control.
I will say, though, it was pretty impressive staggering from University of Connecticut. They got an extra 10 or so % just by being able to stall and keep the point in their control just barely. Now both teams are in kind of a neutral situation. You've got the mines from Legacy, where those mines get armed a lot faster now in Season 3, so that could be a problem for the backline. Meanwhile, Goldfish has the overclock available to try and pick off some of the squishier members of Tennessee.
Well, the minefield definitely has the backline in locked, and Hydra finding the double kill with the pulse bomb, looking for that perfect opportunity. His guys trying to hold on best they can, but we're looking at final fight territory here for UTK.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just a rush to even get back to the point. You see Rich moves on to the Wrecking Ball to try and get there in time, and they will get there in time, so the overclock from Goldfish will come out. This is the final gasp here for Connecticut on this point.
Well, it looks like, thanks to Samo, they'll be able to touch just in time. The hack's attempting to come out from Ducksta, but doesn't seem to be finding that finalization. But the EMP will grab 4, looking for those eliminations to come in the final moments. But the cleanse takes it all away, and now UConn just has to get those elims in their pocket to be able to bring it back into their control. And right now, Rich is able to find the follow-up on the Hydra. Goldfish falling incredibly low, but the supports of UConn are just keeping them hooked together as best as they can. Legacy getting ready to come back up onto that minefield, but it looks like they're going to pull back 4 now, having plenty of time. No, they don't get away. Rich chasing them down in the final moments brings us up to the 70% mark.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Connecticut, I said it was their last breath, but they have found new life in this Ruins map. They're coming into what could be final fight for them, 80% and counting with 3 ultimates available. However, Tennessee have both support ultimates. They have the Pulse Bomb. They're about to have the Minefield as well. This is going to be explosive.
All right, well, the minefield zones out one area. The other minefield of Legacy zones out the objective. So things are going to be a little difficult for UConn to be able to hold on to that point. Ducksta coming up with the EMP as we see them trying to chase down Lamborghini. The EMP finds 3, able to take down the cleansing officer of that Cuticle very early in the fight with both supports out of the fight. Tiz guys, the only one that was healing the line. There's nothing else that can be done. 99-99, and UTK finally end the Ruins 100-99.
I just feel like, unfortunately, Connecticut panicked a little bit in that final fight. They knew how much was riding on it to try and get the first round of the series, and because of that, they blew their entire ult bank immediately in that in that last fight. Pretty much they all pressed Q at the same time, and in all fairness, the press Q at the same time strategy does work a lot of the time, but when Tennessee has the support ultimates available to kind of weather that storm, and then they can use their own offensive ultimates afterwards, they were just better at being able to conserve their utility for the mid and late fight, and I think that was what made the difference here on Ruins. But now we're going to move over to Lighthouse. It is a new round, 0-0 for both sides, and we are seeing what is mostly a mirror matchup. The only difference is Ducksta has decided to go onto the Cassidy, trying to play a little bit of anti-flanker here with Goldfish on the Sojourn and Samo on the Tracer.
Ooh, an immediate deletion there for Rich as they dive into the back line. Follow-up from Hydra onto Goldfish on that high ground area. That's more than likely will be Objective Alpha locked in by UTK.
I mean, that was about as perfect as it could be. Rich went in for the dive. Connecticut wasn't quite ready for the follow-up, and that is how you delete 700 health at a blink of an eye, and that is going to inspire Rich to say, you know what, fine, we'll just go ahead and go back onto the Winston, because you see Cassidy on the high ground, a lot of people on the high ground, actually, for Tennessee, so being able to disrupt that by jumping up and using the shield, probably a good way to start these fights.
All right, well, it looks like Samo going to be starting off trying to see if they can find that final tick onto the point, 26%, and it looks like UConn will go ahead and take control, but the fight is far from over. Legacy with the triple boop off the side, cleaning up the objective back in their favor. Team kill only gives UConn 11% as UTK retakes the point.
And Lucia Mains everywhere cry out in agony. Why couldn't it be me? Why can't that be me right now? Nope, you are in Brigitte jail. It's time. Legacy will get all the glory at the moment as Tennessee has going on to 50% and coming up on many ultimates. Not anyone under 60%.
All right, well, we see UConn retaking the point. Once again, not really a fight to be had right here as we see Legacy working their way through, looking to see if they can get that pick on the objective with the Deadeye from Duxta, but the shield just doesn't go down fast enough. Hydra with the follow-up on the Goldfish, though, is able to open up that objective. The minefield now being invested, as well as the Nano to get rich clean sweeping this point. Transcendence, though, coming out from Paravir is going to try to hold this line best that they can, but it's just too little, too late for the University of Connecticut. They are being attacked on all sides, and despite having the point, UTK takes it back before they regain control.
Connecticut taking the point there was actually big, though. Not only were they able to get about 20 extra percentage points for themselves, they took it away from Tennessee. This would be last fight territory if they didn't take it, but now they have probably 2 chances here if they rush for it, and they do have both DPS ults and the Primal Rage to try and disrupt Tennessee's hold on this point.
Whoa, Hydra immediately grabbing Lamborghini as they get sent off. Samo, though, sending the pulse bomb right onto the back of Noodles despite their rally going on. Even the shutdown in trade from Goldfish and Paravir as they go ahead and clear the objective. UConn able to take this fight in pocket and tie up the series again.
Yeah, this is actually looking really good. Once again, they go right to the point, put pressure on it immediately. Tennessee, a big weakness with the Wrecking Ball compositions is you really don't have great point presence on these control maps. You don't have the shield to be able to hide behind like Rich does. It's a lot of really nice effective HP to be able to use that Connecticut simply does not have as a team right now. You know what else they don't have? They don't have ultimates. The Heinen from Duxta and the Mines from Legacy is really all they're using. Maybe they don't need ultimates though as Goldfish goes down.
That is true. Duxta able to find Goldfish in the end. Not even with the Deadeye online. Finds Lamborghini. Is looking for that little moment that they are able to take down the shield. As we see them going ahead and pushing in. Hydra and Legacy rolling right on through. And UTK is able to retake the point in the final moment. Able to bring us to last fight territory.
And Connecticut used just about everything that they had to try and hold on to that fight. That's the main problem here. You have the chance for one more fight, but Legacy is going to be ready with those mines to make getting onto the point just supremely difficult. And then if you let Paravir live for long enough, that Transcendence is going to keep everyone alive.
Well, it seems that the minefield is going to cut off some of the members of the team from being able to touch that objective, but UConn is there and already have flipped over the point 99-99 once again, as it seems that the minefield will grab Samo in the recall. Lamborghini able to get the trade with Hydra, but the damage is just too much for UConn to be able to sustain. Team kill rings loud and proud as the overtime ticks away 100-99 once again, as UTK lock down the lighthouse and take the win here on Helios.
And now, honestly, really well done there from Tennessee. There are so many teams out there who, I mean, Connecticut, I think, played right with the composition they had by putting constant pressure onto the point, trying to make Tennessee panic, essentially, by losing the point and having to try and get it back. There's a lot of teams that would have put too much emphasis on trying to make sure that they held on to the point no matter what. But Tennessee knew the strengths and weaknesses of their comp. They knew as long as they kept on toe-tapping onto the point, they were able to keep the map from ending until they found an opening either from one of their hit scan players or a roll through from their Wrecking Ball. It worked incredibly well for them. And honestly, Jack, even though that round was 99-99, Connecticut really only won like two or so fights proper. Like, it really was just a lot of Connecticut runs in and takes the point. Tennessee then wins the poke battle and gets it back.
Yeah, and I mean, that was actually a question I was getting ready to ask you, Dividing, is that despite how close it may have looked in that control map, do you think that we're seeing more of a Tennessee using this as experience, kind of playing with their food and see what they can get away with? Or do you feel that UConn really has a shot in the way that they are playing, being able to keep it so close despite not winning all those fights?
I think UConn had a shot in this map in particular because they were really great at playing the objective, which, when the objective is always in the same spot, is actually really nice for you. So I think that if they were able to win a couple of extra maps, there would have been a really good chance for Connecticut to be able to take this one. That being said, as we move into Kings Row, into Coliseo, into maps where the point and the objective is going to be moving constantly, that is then going to benefit Tennessee a lot more, as assuming they continue to play these Wrecking Ball comps, which, to be fair, is no guarantee as we head into Kings Row.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen the Wrecking Ball comp come out on Kings Row, time and again, but the narrow streets make it so difficult to get those perfect rollouts. Only I would say the highest of high tier Wrecking Balls would be able to pull off plays like that. And even so, you always have those moments where you just miscalculate by just a little bit. You end up catching a corner. You end up not being able to get the full rollout that you're looking for, and then you got to reset and do it all over again. It's not a good position to be. So we'll see whether or not UTK is going to play it safe, or if they're going to try to continue to play this dive and get away with the chaos that they've been causing thus far. We do see quite a bit of swaps coming in for either team, though. UConn bringing in your boy and Nelsie in change of Rich and Tiz guys. So we're going to be seeing a support and tank swap out. And in turn, we'll see for Tennessee, Legacy and Eclipse coming in, and Goldfish and Blamathy coming out. So we'll see how that changes things up, especially going into Kingsville.
I mean, what that tells me personally is I think both these teams are preparing for a brawl, especially because both teams did swap out their tank players. I think that shows me that they are going to be going straight in on probably the Reinhardt, maybe the Orisa, most likely the Reinhardt, though. I think both these teams are not going to pass up the chance to go for an old-fashioned Rhine v. Rhine brawl. And look at that. That is exactly what we are going to be seeing. Your boy Blamathy, head-to-head, a shield to shield, all throughout Kings Row. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, Rhine has really kind of found themselves back in the meta again, so to speak, just because of all the changes that have been happening to tanks lately in the most recent patch. But the question is, who is going to be the first one to pull the trigger on the Ramatra? Because as much as we love to see Reinhardt in play, Rami just does way too much damage, is able to circumvent those shields when you're in the in-face battle. And I'm just questioning whether or not we'll be seeing this Rhine v. Rhine continuing to stick.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. I think the Fire Strike buff I mentioned the last fight was incredible, and oh man, well, there goes the attack from Tennessee. Duckster going down, that is your main damage dealer on that Cassidy. You gotta wait for Duckster to come back to be able to really go in for this attack. Really nice tone setter there from Connecticut.
I also find the choices of UTK here interesting. We're seeing the old kind of modified goats that we saw at the end of Overwatch 1, right? Having that May and Cassidy being able to zone out and dole out damage. As we see the picks continuing to come in here from Duxta, it is like a fish in a barrel, able to grab your boy Wings as they're charging away. And that's going to be objective alpha for UTK.
In 90% of cases, I think Sojourn is better than Cassidy. But in this particular case, when you're playing at this range, I really do think Duxta is going to be more consistent than Eclipse. Now, is Eclipse going to be able to get railgun kills? Absolutely. But if Duxta's going to keep playing Cassidy like that at this close mid-range, there's almost nothing that Connecticut's going to be able to do.
All right, well, we see the Maywalls coming up in either direction. The Immortality tries to save Blamethy, but it's too little, too late. Lamborghini, the Lucio player, lighting up this kill feed right now, able to grab the double and lock down the choke.
Really nicely done there from Sambo in particular, putting together a nice Maywall. That is going to be something you want to keep an eye out if you're not used to these brawl compositions. These Maywalls are used to split team members off from each other. It's one of the greatest pieces of utility in these brawl comps.
Ooh, the Shatter comes out from your boy Wings, but doesn't find the target it's looking for. But it's going to be the Nano that's going to save the day from Nelsie. Your boy Wings finding the double, triple kill, lighting up that feed and holding the payload at the 420 mark.
That is absolutely beautiful. That nano boosted Reinhardt is one of the most beautiful sights in Overwatch. You can just watch him swing into the other team with absolutely no care in the world. It's so freeing.
We'll see the Blizzard now coming out. Gonna be possibly another team wipe here if they're not careful. Double kill coming in. Noodles is able to find Eclipse, though, in the rotation as we see the Deadeye on the line for Duxta. Gonna go ahead and pop it to see how much space they can continue to push this payload forward. Not being able to get that shot off in the final moments with the Maywall up. But they will be successful in pushing Yukon back.
Yeah, I mean, Yukon does have further spawns in this, so the fact that they took a few casualties in that fight, it does end up being pretty big. That being said, the recontest is very quick. A nice Maywall, though, from Hydra is going to take your boy Wings out of the fight, and I think Connecticut is wishing that they had backed up a little bit more, because all of a sudden, one fight loss here at Archway might just turn into University of Tennessee taking the entirety of Point B. There's still 3 minutes left on the clock, and the beat available, and Sambo in the backline? What are you doing? May has no way to get out of that. That is just a stagger, and that ensures that Point B gets taken by Tennessee.
That's true. 4:20 back on the clock as we see UTK pushing their way on in, but the Ultimates are getting ready to abound. It looks like a winter wonderland may be found on this objective soon enough.
Yeah, I would sure hope so. I mean, Connecticut has the ability.
Oh my goodness, it's an Ultapalooza on the objective. Nano Ryan gets fed in, but so does the Blizzard, and the sound barrier now of Noodles. Blamethy ends up swinging that axe of the Blackheart, and we'll go ahead and clean up the point.
That was a 4 ultimate fight from Connecticut, and they did not get anything out of it. Tennessee continues their march towards the end of the map. Connecticut needs to get something done with this Blizzard, or else it's curtains.
My God, the Blizzard comes out, but as does the Deadeye, and Duxta standing right outside of it. Finds Eclipse in the final moments. Lamborghini also in tow. It's a 1v2 on the objective, but it looks like Duxta and Noodles are going to go ahead and pull back. They got the time to make it happen.
That Blizzard actually saved it. Absolutely beautiful stuff from Samo to lock up Tennessee and stop their momentum, at least for the moment. That being said, Blamethy is coming up very close to that Shatter. If it's not blocked by your boy, it could be trouble.
Well, we have seen both of these teams come incredibly close, and your boy able to clean things up, finds the triple kill. The only one left is Paravir, and they'll get taken down as well. Team kills and Shatters in both pockets as we see them push in.
That fire strike kill on the Noodles was absolutely nasty. I just got to give shout out to your boy there. That was so good. But yeah, absolutely. In this next fight, the only 2 check marks right now, well, okay, Eclipse is about to get the high noon, but you're going to have both Shatters, and this is now the classic Ryan v. Ryan fight. Whoever gets more value out of the Shatter is likely to win the fight for their team.
I'm waiting for the quiet. Oh, the Maywall! Perfect timing ends up canceling the shatter. Blamethy sends his out, but gets nothing but shield. I thought we were going to hear complete quiet here on the objective, but it looks like that's not going to be the case. The Deadeye ends up pushing UTK back, but they're just making their way back to the payload instead. Amplification Matrix now unleashed. Duckstead just barely able to stay alive to take down Nelsie, and that's the objective captured and a blizzard on the point. 143 for UTK as they lock in objective Charlie here on Kings Row.
I do not care that it's not going to be play of the game. The Reinhardt getting lifted up by the Maywall as the shatter was coming down was absolutely the play of the game for me. Bravo to Hydra for being able to pull that off. That's something I've only seen a couple of times in the history of Overwatch. So beautifully done. And because of that, and in a lot of ways because of that, because I'm not sure if that shatter was getting blocked otherwise, the University of Tennessee do manage to finish the map with a solid time bank, minute 43. And all they've got to do is stop Connecticut at any point on their attack to go up to 2-0 on the series, get to match point, series point moving forward. That being said, Connecticut did have some really solid moments of their own. I think they are pretty confident in this Brawl mirror. So absolutely do not count the Huskies out of this one.
Yeah, I think that is actually why they were able to bring it back in that final point. I mean, Kings Row third is always the most difficult point to push into regardless, but I mean, the Deadeye versus the overclock of Eclipse is definitely a lot more terrifying to UTK than possibly getting your head lopped off by a rogue railgun beam. So we'll have to see how they go ahead and hold on as we quite literally... Oh! We actually see Lamborghini swapping over to the Zenyatta to see if those discords might help them in this case.
I don't love it. We just saw a team opt out of using Lucio on Kings Row. That was DePaul in the last game, and it dearly cost them not being able to have that speed boost to engage and disengage. I guess the question is, does Tennessee use the speed boost as well as Delaware did in their game?
Well, I think the question is going to be more so, can UConn successfully wall off Tennessee so they don't even have to worry about the speed boost? Right now, it does not seem to be working out in their favor. No picks just yet, but definitely quite the poke battle. And there it is! The Maywall just in time for your boy to clip the wings of Blamethy and the rest of the team. That's going to be a team kill as UConn locks down Objective Alpha, putting 5:30 on that clock.
I will say, I did just express doubt about the Zenyatta pick. That being said, in a situation like that where the fight goes a little bit longer than that initial confrontation, Connecticut probably does have the advantage because when you're close up like that, that's simply extra free damage that you're getting from whoever Lamborghini puts a Discord orb on. It's also a really nice way to kind of focus target prioritization. Just shoot the person with the Discord orb on them.
Exactly.
Connecticut take the first. They take the first fight. They have the shatter. They have the amplification matrix. But Tennessee has both up as well on the other side.
All right. Well, dueling shatter and windows abound as we see Samo popping out. Hydra in the mix. Ya boy Wings able to find the shatter and the cleanup with the fire strike. No amp matrix gonna slow them down, and that payload's gonna keep pushing.
This has been a roll from Connecticut so far. They have barely stopped this momentum. That being said, Tennessee does have enough time to get one more contest in before point B is claimed by Connecticut. They have the shatter. At the moment, that's it. Hydra and Noodles are getting close to their ultimates, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Meanwhile, Lamborghini is ready with the Transcendence as soon as they feel like there might be in a bit of danger.
All right, well, it looks like the High Noon is going to be unleashed by Eclipse, looking for that pick, finds nothing but shield. Most Immortality is getting vested. The shatter countered by the Transcendence rather of UConn to be able to hold on to this line, and it's going to be Nelsie cleaning things up. The Blizzard then unleashed by Hydra, and it is going to be a winter wonderland of red as UTK finally take the point back.
The Blizzard absolutely saved it. I think Connecticut was absolutely winning that fight. If it wasn't for the Blizzard freezing them up, and knocking them down. So really great stuff there from Tennessee to hold things at the end of point B. This is a really great spot to hold as well because the spawn point of Connecticut is just so insanely far away. Look at this hike. They have to go through basically the entire map to get back into the fight, and they don't have a Lucio, so they can't use that speed boost to their advantage either. So that might compound, especially with the ultimates that Tennessee has.
So you see the speed boost coming in, rotating around the corner, is able to find Lamborghini. Immortality Field trying to do their best to save the day, but it's not gonna be enough as Blamethy able to find the double kill with the Axe of Destiny. 2:45 on the clock as UConn is trying to find their way back into this fight.
And that is just efficient Overwatch right there. One ultimate, one fight win. Tennessee are able to hang on to both of their support ultimates to move forward, which is going to allow them to keep a constant flow of ults in the bank and keep that economy running. That being said, Connecticut do have some tools of their own now, especially your boy's Shatter. Blamethy, I'm sure, is ready for it, but if it gets past that shield, Tennessee is going to be in a lot of trouble.
It's going to be your boy versus Noodles right here to see if the Shatter can take down the Lucio fast enough. They're pulling out rotations as if they got a Lucio in play as we go ahead and see the window getting ready to pop up. The Shatter comes around the corner, doesn't care about your immortality, doesn't care about your amplification matrix. It's a team kill, ringing out loud and proud for UConn as they take Point Bravo.
I mean, when is the last time you've seen a triple kill fire strike? That is a beauty. Absolute beauty from the University of Connecticut. Oh, is this a recontest attempt coming in from Blamethy? Yes, they have the beat. They want to use this. They've knocked your boy Wings down and taken him out. This isn't over.
I cannot believe that it's not over. The Deadeye getting unleashed, looking to see if they can find a pick, if at anybody. Samo's the only one near the objective, and somehow, some way, in the final moments, UTK is able to bring it back.
It's the Lucio speed boost, I swear. This is just two games in a row where having the Lucio comes up massive. UTK is able to get back to the point incredibly quickly, quicker than I even thought they were going to be able to, and then they had the beat ready to keep everyone sustained, and it made Blamethy feel secure enough in their safety to go for the Shatter and take out the opposing Reinhardt. And now we're back to square one here for Connecticut. They have the Blizzard, they have the Transcendence, but with 45 seconds left, it might be the last fight.
The Deadeye is just what they needed. Transcendence in a winter wonderland of Fury on the objective for both Mays, but they have the numbers in tow. UConn looking for that opening to be able to finish pushing in to objective Bravo, and there come the picks. Your boy Wings is flying right now as they lock in objective Bravo. They match the time of UTK, and they're going to be under in the bank, but they definitely have a shot at bringing it back for another fight.
Oh, they absolutely do, especially with those ults coming up right now. Your boy Wings with another Shatter has been landing them like nothing so far, as well as that amplification matrix has been a fantastic combo for Connecticut so far, and that is Blamethy down and out.
I love the 360s from your boy Wings, just swinging for the heavens with that hammer after the Shatter goes down. It is indeed, as the chat says, probably for another moment that we're behind on MTD. Coming out for your boy Wings as UConn pushes into final point.
That being said, Connecticut, with only a minute left, they have finally reached the end of their rope when it comes to the ultimates. They're about to have the high noon. That's it. Duxa already has the high noon, and Noodles is ready with the beat if they feel like they're in trouble. So this is still a pretty solid position for University of Tennessee to be. And then, of course, Connecticut needs a convincing fight win because of those defending spawn staggers. They could keep this going for a long time if this isn't a convincing win.
Deadeye versus Blizzard coming up in this fight as we see Eclipse popping out. The Deadeye finds Noodles, so no sound barrier being invested just yet. Hydra doesn't have that Blizzard online ready to go, and I believe it might have just got thrown. No, it did not. Eclipse looking to clean things up. 13 seconds remaining on the clock, and your boy Wings just can't get out in time. 10 seconds remaining, and I think that is going to be it. University of Connecticut fall at the finish line to the University of Tennessee as they bring it up 2-0 here on Kings Row.
That was a Rhine brawl battle for the ages between Tennessee and Connecticut, but this time around, Tennessee comes out on top and will get themselves up to match point. But let's not discount your boy Wings right here. Had so many insane moments on the Reinhardt today. I would agree. I think on an individual level, 1v1, I think your boy Wings did outplay Blamethy individually. That being said, UTK had a better understanding of the brawl comp. They had a better understanding of the macros of it and when to push in, when to pull out. And honestly, they had the Lucio the entire game. I think that was the big difference maker for UTK, being able to use that speed boost. If you're gonna run brawl, play Lucio, guys. That's the lesson for today.
I can definitely understand the reasoning behind choosing the Zenyatta, but yeah, I mean, that is what gave UTK the leg up here. Being able to speed in their team, that's how they got the second contest on point 2 in the final moments. That's how they were able to be able to get in quick and get aggressive. Imagine if we would have seen your boy Wings having that little bit of speed behind them to keep them safe both in and out of the fights. Could have been an absolute game changer. We're going to head to a quick break and see if the Huskies can lick their wounds and come back in the second half. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more EGFC action in just a few moments.
Though we are many, we are part of something. A force. Bigger than all of us. Our distinct fingerprints collectively shaping and forever changing what makes UConn, UConn. Forever making our mark. Forever making UConn a part of us.
And welcome back, Overwatch fans, to EGFC Season 4 Overwatch action, where we have first seed UTK versus 9th seed UConn, seeing which one of these puppers can take it to the limit. And despite things being relatively close, UTK continues to edge out UConn in the final moments as we head into Coliseo. Dividing, what do you think these Huskies might have planned for the second half?
I would not be shocked to see some sort of long-range poke comps be added on to here. Like I said before, Ilios, we saw a lot of dive. Kings Row, we saw a lot of brawl. Coliseo is a much more... It favors the long-range pokey comps, especially at the middle of the map, which is basically one massive sightline. Ashe, Widowmaker, Hanzo will all have a field day in those situations if it is not shielded off. The other thing that we could see, which is what we saw Delaware do in their round, is actually they ran a really hyper-aggressive dive comp and just closed the distance on DePaul before they were able to get any value out of their Widowmakers, out of their Hanzos. So that could be what we see them do in response. I think those are the two main options in this case.
Yeah, we actually initially were going to see a swap of Blamethy out for Legacy, which had me thinking that UTK was going to go ahead and run that dive that we saw on Ilios again, but they're actually bringing Blamethy back in. So I think they're looking to maybe, if not the Rhine v. Rhine battle that we saw in Kings Row, maybe looking to use that Ramatra to close off any distance that might come out from either like an Orisa or a Sigma that they might be using to help out that long-range hit scan.
Very interesting, and I think that just tells me that their UTK's strategy for this composition and this map in particular is a little bit in flux, and I think that works a little bit to Connecticut's advantage. In all fairness, I don't know exactly how prepared the Huskies are on this map, but the fact that UTK are still like making going into the map, uncertainty in how they want to approach this one, or maybe we're not in the lobby. Maybe they just said, hey, we're going to run this whole Rhine thing back here. So your boy Wings and Blamethy are going to stay in, and maybe we're going to stay with the Brawl. You know, I haven't seen Brawl in Coliseo in a very long time, but if both teams want to run it, let's do it.
All right. Well, the Bulls versus the Huskies once again going into map number 3. UConn's last chance to be able to bring it back at the beginning of the spring fling. We see Eclipse on this Sojourn looking to open things up. Blamethy is actually going to be taking that Rhine v. Rhine with your boy Wings, also bringing that intel. Interesting choices.
Yeah, I will say, at least in this middle area, the Maywalls are going to be really good, as we just saw it cut off your boy Wings from the rest of the team. And that's going to give Tennessee the initial point push. That being said, as we head out into these open areas, I think the Maywalls are going to be a little bit less effective, and we might be seeing Eclipse get more and more value.
All right, well, we'll see if that high ground ends up providing the value that they're hoping for. Even using the Maywalls to shut off those sight lines may bring them a lot of success, but as we see the bot stalled out at the 27-meter mark, no picks just yet. The icicle having to be used by Hydra just to be able to stay up in the fight. Zama also almost being traded there in the final moments. As we see Blamethy falling incredibly low, the Ant Matrix utilized to try to see if they can clip ya boys' Wings. It's not going to be fast enough. As we see them pull back, though, UTK is definitely putting the screws to UConn.
Yeah, this is a very even fight right now, which I think Connecticut are absolutely fine with taking at the moment, especially with the amplification matrix at their backs. Tennessee back up for the moment, actually with just a sliver of health, and yes, we'll get finished off by Eclipse there. So Connecticut's going to get us back to center field, and they're going to start getting a little bit of point push of their own. That being said, Tennessee are going to have... Oh, man.
Gotta watch your back, Hydra.
Hydra was, I think, going for a little bit of BM right there and gets taken out by Nelsie.
Not a good position for them to be in without the May to be able to wall off those choke points. It is going to be free season for your boy Wing Shadows. as they go ahead and grab the double kill with the help of Eclipse. That's going to clean up the objective and have them marching ever more closer to that 44-meter mark.
Beautifully done there by your boy Wings, again finding the opening and Blamethy's shield to be able to take that one. And Connecticut are going to be threatening to take the lead here on this map. If Tennessee is able to get back in time, though, they have 4 ultimates at their disposal.
Well, we see the Deadeye coming out from Duxta, able to find the shot on Eclipse in the final moments, and the counter charge is able to find the value it is looking for to take down your boy Wings. Just shy of UTK's limit, they are able to bring back control to the bot in their favor and have a Blizzard and many other ultimates online for their next push.
Absolutely perfect. I know I've said it before, but I'm going to point it out every time it happens.
Oh, no.
Tennessee uses 1 ult, gets 1 kill, and wins the fight off of it. They have 4 ultimates still to continue pushing this bot and continue building on their lead. It's absolutely perfect Overwatch play from Tennessee at this moment.
All right, we'll go ahead and see Samo swapping over to the Soldier. Very interesting choice with the way this composition is, and Blamethy is just axing everyone to get within range so that he can introduce them to the killing machine that he is. That's going to be the butt scratch point locked in for UTK as they continue to hold the high ground.
Yeah, I mean, you pointed out the Soldier swap. I think they're trying to pair that with the Zen swap from Lamborghini. Obviously, that consistent damage that the Soldier and the Sojourn can get will be compounded by the Discord Orb. That being said, you gotta have enough time to build it up first, and Blamethy is just gonna swing right through the Blizzard and just take out the entirety of Tennessee. So we've got... It's going to be 100 meters broken here for UTK and Connecticut. Even though they have the overclock, they have the shatter. I mean, they're really playing behind the 8 ball here.
Yeah, I mean, they're just having a hard time matching up against this May, and Duxta popping out the Deadeye and looking for any space that they can hide behind. The Shatter attempts to come out, doesn't find the target it's looking for. It's gonna come down to a fatty shatty out from your boy Wings, cleaning up the field once again. And when things were looking dire, Yukon brings it right on back. Hydra doesn't even get the hard reset due to the railgun of Eclipse. It's going to be a long truck back, but Yukon has the bot back under their control.
I mean, your boy Wings simply cannot do more right now. Blocks the shatter from Blamethy, then gets a massive shatter of their own in order to win the fight for Connecticut. What could have been the final fight if Tennessee had won that. They might have just used that and pushed through to the end. I mean, even though Connecticut's losing the overall map, the frontline battle is Connecticut's right now.
As we go ahead and see the Transcendence utilized by Lamborghini, doing its best to keep the team alive, as we see Hydra trying to hide out in this back line, not going to be able to use the wall in time, and Samo's going to be able to finalize that elimination. That bot pushing its way back to UTK's side.
Now I see the tactical visor, I see the amplification matrix on the side of Connecticut. Do you try to put those two together? Well, now you can't. Samo is dead. Beautiful shot from Duxta to take off what's probably the main offensive tool that Connecticut were planning to use this fight.
That is true, but without the high ground control, there's not much that they can do about it. As we see the battle going on underneath, Blamethy doing everything that they can to try to stay alive. The supports doing what they can to keep your boy Wings alive, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be enough. A couple more meters for Yukon, but control goes back to Smokey and UTK.
And don't look now, Jack, but Tennessee have a completed row of check marks. 5 ultimates to use. That, if they use it right, they could just finish the map off of this. That being said, you do still have that tactical visor from Samo. You also have the shatter. But this one gets nothing. That is a rare misplay from your boy Wings on the shatters.
Yeah, it was just based off of the timing, but look at the utilization of Blizzard and Deadeye, only able to find Eclipse in the final moments, investing a little bit too much for that push. They still have the shatter and the sound barrier in tow, but Yukon will be able to fight back with some ultimates of their own.
I mean, again, I'm saying it for the third fight in a row. Samo has the tactical visor, and we do also have
Maybe this time.
an overclock coming up from Eclipse as well. That being said, Noodles is ready and willing and able to use that feat to keep everyone healthy.
That is true, but will it be enough with the sound barrier utilized specifically on the tactical visor? Now they don't have anything to shut down the overclock as the shatter comes out, ends up pinning your boy Wings against the wall, but it's not enough to take them out just yet, so they start chasing down the supports, chasing down the DPS, and Blamethy lights up the kill feed. Your boy Wings didn't stay close enough to Blamethy to keep them out of this fight, and UTK locks in the win against the Huskies 3-0 here on Coliseum.
I'll tell you what, Jack, that last shatter felt a little bit personal.
Yeah,
Just looked right at your boy Wings and goes, you are not going to stay on your feet anymore. I mean, beautifully done from Blamethy to finish off the fight. I know we've been singing your boy Wings praises throughout it, but Blamethy knew it wasn't the super flashy shatter that they needed in that moment. They needed the shatter that would get one kill, that would force crucial utility out of Connecticut early on in the fight, and then they could snowball that into a fight, map, and series win. Beautifully done from University of Tennessee. Honestly, a very well-rounded and well-performed game overall. I think they knew what they wanted to do, and they executed it very well.
Absolutely. We're going to head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll see if we can get someone from UTK on the line to tell us a little bit about their experience during this match. We'll be back with more EGFC Season 4 action in just a few moments. Welcome back, everyone, and we are back with the bouncing ball of UTK Legacy to tell us a little bit about how their team was able to pull off this dub today. Legacy, how's the team feeling?
The team is feeling good. We kind of struggle really badly with the ball comp at the moment. I'm not like the most amazing ball player in the world, but I tried to do what I could. And I think I did okay. I had a good environmental in there, but I have to give props to my team. Absolutely, my team carries me because I'm not the best ball player. Period.
Well, you could have fooled me. I feel like you played pretty well to me. You passed the eye test, I'll say.
Yeah.
As we went through the first half of today's block. First off, we saw the number 2 ranked team going into this week, University of Delaware, and then we saw you guys. I asked them this question after their win, so I'm going to ask you the same. Thinking about the rest of the season and the postseason, are there any teams that you feel concerned about losing to at this point? Because you are on quite the win streak right now.
I mean, so far, like, the only team that we really have lost to was Delaware. You know, it was a really unfortunate matchup. We weren't at our setups, and it was just kind of, it wasn't the best for ETK, but I think we'll come back stronger. I feel like we're a pretty, like, competent team for the most part. Again, just the ball comp we kind of struggle with, but I think we're learning pretty exponentially fast on the ball comp, and I think we're going to be pretty unstoppable once we get the ball comp down. I hope. At least I hope.
And now I want to try and zoom in on the third map, Coliseo, real quick, because I was curious going into it. I was setting up this whole thing about how Coliseo is either a poke map or a dive map, depending on how you want to play it, just based on the long sight lines that it tends to have. Instead, both you and Connecticut decided to run back the brawl comps that you had on King's Row. I'm curious what went into that. Why did you decide that that was the best course of action going into Coliseo?
Yeah, going into Coliseo, we were debating on running the ball or running the rush, and, you know, I think we just had the instinct, I guess, that maybe they would try to run the rush, and, you know, again, not being the best ball player, I don't know if we were really confident enough running the ball there, just so we wanted to play it safe and just run the rush, because we're much more competent playing rush than we are playing running the dive ball comp, for sure. But overall, I have to give my shout out to my teammate Hydra. He follows up on everything. Hydra's like
played great today. I agree.
Yeah, that's my shout out for sure.
All right. Well, that was definitely beautiful seeing kind of the back and forth there. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see more of you today, but there are plenty more weeks in the spring semester that we'll get to see some legacy action. Want to give you a moment to shout out anyone else that you would like, friends, families, teammates, whoever, for your victory today.
Yeah, like my dad. I know my dad's in the other room watching. My girlfriend, hopefully my mom. She's not watching, but like I still shout her out. Yeah, that's and my teammates, of course my teammates.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on another win in your belt. We'll go ahead and let you go so you can celebrate with the team as we get on to our next match. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more EGFC coverage in just a few moments. Good evening, tanks, healers, and damage dealers, and welcome back to EGFC Season 4 action as we come back with North Arizona University versus UT Arlington. This is Captain Jack, joined by two tryhard Ray here in the booth, ready to see how we seem to have quite a few matchups today, Ray, of this top 4 pick versus a much lower seed going against one another, and it's been a little one-sided.
I've had the pleasure of casting UTA these past couple weeks. They're a very strong team. They have been moving. They've been moving up there at the 3rd spot currently in the standings, looking to climb. They're trying to catch the UTKs and the Delawares of the world, and they're right there, Jack. If they can just continue to be consistent, that was always my big problem watching UTA from the fall split coming into the spring split, was they were just a little inconsistent from map to map. But we interviewed with their coach last week, and it seems they finally got their roster solidified and they're feeling really good.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at the win-loss ratios for these teams as you go from 1st to 5th. I mean, it's honestly like a win or 2 or a loss of 2 that is really changing out how either map differentials or scoring is working for these teams. So the skill level is definitely there, but if I'm anything like these lower seeded teams that are going up against these Titans, I want to see if I can dink their armor. I want to see if I can find a way to get past the success that they have had thus far and find a little of my own. Let's go ahead and take a look and see who those opening rosters are going to be, though. Or actually, we're going to go to maps first. Apologies. Same maps as before. We'll be starting off on Ilios, followed by Kings Row, Coliseo, Circuit Royale. Hopefully, we'll get to see in this series. And then followed in the end, if we get to a tie, with Busan.
Very excited to see where things line up and what kind of compositions we're going to be seeing out of both of these teams that we saw in the standings. Northern Arizona sitting at that 10 spot right now. We've seen a lot of shakeup, especially coming into the spring split. A lot of teams, their rosters have been shaken up quite a bit. So Northern Arizona has, found their little stride trying to get better and better. So they need to continue to keep up this consistency if they want to start climbing the ranks a little bit more.
That's true. And as we go ahead and look at the opening teams or the opening players for these two teams, I'm actually a little surprised at what we're kind of seeing between these two. I mean, we're seeing a mostly diamond roster coming out from NAU, which I think is going to be incredibly interesting compared against the kind of all over the map that UTA has. I mean, they are successful, but I know as a player and also a watcher of Overwatch, sometimes the ranking doesn't mean nearly as much if you have the communication that is also needed to be able to make that skill pop off.
Yes. As we head into Ilios, as we can see, we're getting the first map being Ruins. And we're seeing UTA coming out of the gate with Tomato Lord on this Reinhardt, which, I'm a Reinhardt stan myself, so I love to see it. But last week we saw them playing the ball. So I'm a little interested to see, what they're finding a little bit more sustainable with this Reinhardt composition versus the ball. Maybe it's a little bit more comfort coming in. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I will say it's a little bit easier to stick close to the rest of your team if you are a giant 500-esque pound man in armor vice a giant 500-pound ball that can just roll all over the place. We do see Plebbles, though, coming in on the Winston, already finding a bit of value, but Tomato Lord able to chase down Saikana. And that is going to be a cleanup of the point for either side thus far. Just barely able to get that charge onto Casey Dunn. We'll go ahead and get the finalization on that. Leave it up to Dez and those turrets on the Symmetra going to be cleaning up this point and locking it down for UTA.
Yeah, the one thing I was going to bring up is this Symmetra with the Reinhardt is a potent combination, being able to shield her and allow her to build up that beam. Not a lot to build up against this Winston comp zone. You have the Winston bubble, but it doesn't have a whole lot of health to be able to build up that beam. And the turrets are so countered out by Winston's electricity Tesla gun. So, but they're doing a great job of making it work so far. Just can Northern Arizona begin to expose that weakness?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be more so whether or not NAU is able to keep this Symmetra at bay. As we see, Dez on the high ground, incredibly low. Levels ends up just giving him a little booty bump there to go ahead and take him right on out of the fight, and is going to charge into the objective. See if they can get some finalization on a couple of these squishies, and looking to be very successful thus far. Tomato Lord having a very difficult time just trying to get in the face of Plebbles. Was able to find Papa KJ with the fire strike and finally able to take that monkey down. And somehow, some way, UTA continues to hold this point.
And the Sound Barrier comes in late, was unable to save Tom. Very unfortunate for Casey Dunn, as, man, Tomato Lord is just proving that he's the Lord of the Reinhardt right now. Incredible. I cannot believe how long he was able to live there. Got the Tracer with the fire strike, the Winston, just putting the team on his back right now.
I think the unfortunate part was more so that Casey Dunn didn't realize that Tomato Lord was so low. Could have literally blown on the German Crusader and it would have been enough to take him out of the fight and clear the point for you. But now it's going to be up to Plebbles. Primal Rage in the backline, juggling all the way from Sunday. Finds a triple kill. Papa KJ with the follow-up on Andrew, and that's going to be a cleanup of the point at the 99% mark. NAU finally takes the ruin.
Who needs anger management? When you get angry, you can just clear a point like Pebbles just did on that Winston. Incredible work, but they're going to have a long road to go, Jack. 4 ultimates coming in for UTA, and they just need to win a single fight.
We do see the Sound Barrier invested there from Stank Badge. Casey Dunn, though, able to find the follow-up onto Shing. As we see the charge coming in, actually Sekana able to use, I believe, the cleanse to be able to take Plebbles out of that shatter stun. As we see the Deadeye coming up, Andrew just barely able to grab Casey Dunn in the final moments. Tom doing everything they can to stay alive, as well as Papa KJ, but it's just not enough. 100-22 as UT Arlington lock down the ruins.
Jack, I've been playing a lot of this Battle Pass so far, and one of the most impactful changes I feel to the heroes we've seen in this new patch is Cassidy. Insane value you can get on this cowboy now. The magnetic grenade was always very strong and very potent, and now you have this extra range with your damage range being damage fall off range being increased. It's a great day to rejoice as a Cassidy player.
All right. Well, we'll have to see how things change as we head into the Lighthouse. Not seeing a lot of shifts from NAU, but UT Arlington are looking to get a lot faster, a lot quicker with this Wrecking Ball dive.
Yeah, this is the ball composition I was talking about. Dez on this Sojourn and Andrew on the Tracer. The one thing you're going to see coming out of UTA is they're very good at being in sync and being on the same page and coordinating these assaults.
We'll see how well it works out. Tomato Lord not able to find the slam they were looking for. It's actually going to be Plebbles in the back line, finds the double kill to be able to start solidifying that point, able to get the follow-up onto Dez as well. Nothing is out of the reach of that magnificent monkey as Plebbles and the rest of NAU take the Lighthouse to start.
And that was a picture-perfect counter dive coming out of Papa KJ and Plebbles. As soon as your DPS and your ball commit together, that just leaves your Brig and Zen just by themselves, and they took advantage of that and took them down quickly, as we now see them going over to a Lucio Kiriko setup. Way less diveable, but there's not that Discord orb to be able to provide.
Tom, so close, but no cigar, as Dez finds you in the end. Plebbles falling incredibly low, looking for any kind of support to be able to sustain, but it's going to be a little tinnitus from Stank Badge that goes ahead and clears the objective. Casey Dunn and Papa KJ trying to hold on for as long as they can, but Papa KJ going to be the last to fall. 45% ain't nothing to snuff at, but they got to shut down UTA.
I was about to say that. You got to feel pretty good getting that 45%. But like you mentioned, you got to be able to start shutting down. I think the problem right now is Dez on this Sojourn is causing so much disruption. The sticky bomb threat with the focus beam follow-up. Because in these dive-style compositions, you don't have a lot of damage up front. But because the focusing beam does so much once people get half HP, it works so well with these low damage output comps.
I feel like that headshot from Shing should have just been the sound that their name makes. Shing! Taking down Plebbles in a fury, and UTA is already up to that 45% mark.
As we now see Tom abandoning the Cassidy, going over to the Soldier, hoping that with the changes that Soldier's gotten with the recoil on his gun is going to be enough to help deal with Dez, and Dez goes down, so already a great advantage they already have.
That is true, but will it be enough as we see Tomato Lord able to take down Casey Dunn, Stank Badge with a little bit of follow-up onto Tom with the help of Shing, but the point goes back into NAU's territory as Stank Badge drops the beat. It's only, I'd like to say a 2v4 on the objective, maybe 3v4 as the sound barrier comes in from Casey Dunn. At the final moment, a big boop comes in. Sekana able to take out the duplicate just in time, but it's going to be Furious George on the field that's going to start booping everybody and their mama away. Steakman's just barely able to hold on to that objective as we go ahead and see them clear the point, continuing to grow that lead that they stole away from UTA.
As UTA is going to have to completely back up and reset because we're coming up on final fight territory. They have to hope Andrew comes through with a big pulse bomb, but they're going to have this Kitsune rush. They could just throw down on point and make it so hard to attack for UTA.
Well, let's see what they can make happen. The rotation comes in. Dez also switching over to the Soldier 76 as the point does get flipped by Tomato Lord in the final moments. Sekana with a double kill. Bing bing right in the face with those beautiful kunai orbs. Tomato Lord, the only one left on the objective, and this minefield is just barely keeping them alive. But Tom, in their final moments, says, I will not go down without swinging. And we will see just in the final moments, Andrew just barely able to touch, throws out the pulse bomb as a Hail Mary, but doesn't find a single target to be able to latch on to. Dez falls incredibly low, finds the end of Level's Tesla cannon, but Sekana gets traded out by Andrew. It's a 4v4 on the objective as overtime ticks away, and Papa KJ bringing it back into their control as they take Stank Badge down in the chaos.
As the pulse bomb comes in, and that is going to be all she wrote. We are in a 1-1 series, and it all comes down to the most chaotic, most crazy map of Ilios, my favorite, Well.
It is, I feel, based on what we've seen thus far, unfortunately, it's not going to be the reasons that we enjoy going to Well. Usually it's the pile of dead bodies left in the bottom of the well due to various booping or hooking heroes. But this time around, it looks like the fight's going to be going on elsewhere. Might be seeing some boops from Casey Dunn or Stank Badge on those Lucios, but otherwise they're looking to get those eliminations straight away as we head into Well for our final map on Ilios.
Yeah, as we see Dez going back to the Sojourn, lots of open skies, especially over the Well to work with. Again, it's all in the back of Tom to try and help mitigate the value that Dez gets out of this Sojourn, because the Sojourn is going to be the key to this ball composition getting maximum value.
I feel like we've been watching too much Sojourn play there, Ray. They're actually playing Echo right now, which I know we also spent quite a few years getting used to seeing Echo all the time as well. But as quickly as Echo went when Sojourn left, or when Sojourn came into play, we will quickly see them dispatched by Tom, but not fast enough for UTA to not take the point.
It is so funny that I didn't even realize I said that either. That's how much Sojourn we've been dealing with recently. Oh, man.
Every DPS is Sojourn now. April Fool's Day, it's just every DPS is Sojourn.
Exactly. UTA takes that quick first fight, and like we mentioned, Dez is just ruling the skies on this Echo. I mean, Tom's doing a good job halfway to his ult already, but it just hasn't been enough, and there's just so much mobility as Dez already takes down Saikana.
Beautiful way to open things up there, getting the Kiriko off of the field. Levels falling about to half health, but has the support of the team to be able to lock down the point. Tomato Lord just barely able to touch to try to keep things in their control, but is falling incredibly low as we see the rotation coming out from Stank Badge, looking to see if they can hunt down Tom in the back line. Unfortunately, not going to be able to find that final elimination until Andrew comes around. 60% in climbing as UTA continue to lock down the point.
UTA is displaying perfect situational awareness and just really good peel. I mean, it looked like Tom was just going to free fire. Oh my goodness. Who cares what I was about to say? Tomato Lord, double environmental kill. That's the kind of environmental kills we look for on Will.
That is absolutely true. And with the timer or the percentages ticking down to the final moments, UTA could have this locked down in one more fight. But ultimates do abound on NAU's side. The question is, can they find the value they're looking for?
Completely just cut out that path for them to be able to take when the sound barrier comes in.
That is true, but a major investment from both sides to try to hold this line. Tactical Visor and Pulse Bomb shot out so that every which way from Sunday, no one can be out of the sights of this merry team. Stink Badge, the only one left near the objective, going for the outside wall ride. Will he be caught? It looks like he'll be able to successfully get away in the final moments as NAU takes control.
You do trade 2 ultimates for 3 if you're UTA. So you get to come into this next fight in an even ult economy. It's your DPS ultimates versus a Primal Rage. And this is the opportunity. We've seen Plevel so good with the Primal Rage.
That is true. Tom, though, getting melted down very quickly. Kitsune Rush invested on the point as Stank Badge gives a little tinnitus to Saikana. The Primal Rage and now invested as Dez is trying to earn up that Primal as quickly as they can, but it's not soon enough. They immediately get taken out of it as the Primal Rage gets activated. Andrew and Tomato Lord doing everything they can to clear the point, and UTA will be successful in doing so. 100-45 as they go ahead and lock down well 2-1. UTA take Helios.
Northern Arizona's got to feel pretty proud about that effort on Ilios, all things considered. Every map was very close. You brought it out to 3 sub-map. Like we mentioned, UTA is the favorite coming into this, and Northern Arizona's the new kids trying to, improve that record coming in the spring split. And I've seen improvement. I watched Northern Arizona back at the beginning of the season, and they look so much more polished on this Winston composition. They're starting to take those steps up. That's why they're back in that top 10 for the teams. They just need to continue to make even more smaller incremental steps, and I think they'll be there. It feels like this ball composition is throwing them for a loop a little bit. The syncing up between the Echo and the ball is just wiping them off quicker than they can react.
Yeah, and I think that's just also the cause of the map, right? Ilios is always meant for those kind of on-point battles because you're looking for those eliminations offside. So when you're playing a little bit more passively or a little bit more controlled and not using the map to its full potential due to that, then it makes it a little difficult to be able to find your way around. But that's only one map out of a possible 5 that we could be seeing from these teams, and we're heading to everybody's favorite Kings Row for the next round, and needless to say, not typically a lot of Wrecking Ball comps here, so this may be the way that NAU finds the path back to victory, tying things up for the half.
I definitely can see where you're coming from there. Like you mentioned, the ball composition is just kind of a symptom of Ilios being the map. But we did see the one time we went to Ruins, I believe it was, UTA won that map playing the Reinhardt composition. So UTA is definitely no slouches when it comes to brawl style composition. So you still got to be very careful if you're Northern Arizona. But we have not seen a brawl v brawl situation. They were playing more of a rush style with the Winston before. So I think this could be an interesting map to see play out.
All right. Well, it seems that we're having some technical issues with one of the teams. We're going to head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll see if NAU can go ahead and tie things up against UTA on Kings Row after this. And welcome back, Overwatch fans, as we head on into Kings Row for map number 2 of our series. UTA currently up 1-0 against Northern Arizona University. And AU looking for the opportunity to try to fight back as we already see Plebbles locking in that Ramatra, despite the nerf, still a very powerful hero on the field.
I couldn't agree more. It's going to do a good job of trying to deal with this Reinhardt. The problem is if Dez is going to play this Symmetra like we think, you can build up that beam so quickly with a Ramatra shield. But real quick before we get started, are you a daytime Kings enjoyer or are you a nighttime Kings enjoyer?
I have to be a nighttime Kings enjoyer. That was the tried and true. That's how we got started. I mean, I like the daytime, but I am definitely more of a night person. How about you?
Oh, I prefer the night, because I was, especially since I've been playing it recently and it rotated back to the nighttime. As we're going to see a big rotation, that's a big charge.
Yeah, very good utilization of the charge there from Tomato Lord to be able to get Plebbles on the wrong side of that May wall before it ended up coming up. Papa KJ finding themselves on the bad end of a fire strike as well. And it looks like that is going to be Objective Alpha locked down by UTA with only about 40 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, this was the big issue I was worried about with this Reinhardt going up against the Ramatra. If the Ryan can get very aggressive with his Lucio and get into the face of this Ramatra, we saw, especially with the Maywa blocking Plebbles off, forced him to pop that Nemesis mode early. And then once that's gone, you're just so vulnerable as a Ramatra with no shields, no overhealth or anything, no armor.
That's true, and the amplification matrix definitely ain't gonna do you any favors, as it just immediately deletes Levels and a majority of NAU, and it looks like UTA has finally found their footing. No more playing with our food, they say. We're taking it to the brink.
Oh man, UTA, incredibly strong. This is the team I was seeing last week where they completely just dominated their team, the teams that they play. And the best part of this aggression they've been playing, they used one ultimate. They're going to come in with 3 in their pocket, and they're feeling really good. But they're going to have to be very weary of this incoming Nano Annihilation combination they could throw in.
Well, it looks like we're going to see the Blizzard utilized as we see the Cleanse perfectly coming in, the Annihilation to counter as they go ahead and run it back on down mid. There's the cleanup from NAU, and they're able to shut it down. They say your aggression. Ha! What aggression! As they go ahead and push back UTA.
Don't you just love it when the 2 ultimates you called out are the saviors of the day? Oh, but that Suzu was... Well, that was about
Perfect.
to be like really bad for NAU, but like you mentioned, just perfect, picture perfect positioning and timing, and then the just NAU has really cleaned things up. Even being on the back kills like that can be tough.
Well, you got to watch out. That shield goes down. There's going to be very little protection against that Rhine Shatter. As we see the Shatter comes out, finds 2, but the Sleep Dirt keeps Tomato Lord from getting in and swinging. Won't stop the rest of the team, though. Tomato Lord's back up and swinging for the stars as Team Kill rings out loud and proud, and they grab Objective Bravo.
I'm very impressed with Tomato Lord on this Reinhardt, specifically the charges. He has really good control over them and, like, has a good sense of when he should cancel them to get him in a good spot to just... Sometimes he doesn't even get the charge kills, but he puts him in a position to go confirm a kill.
That's absolutely true. As long as you can separate members of the team, that's all that matters. At the end of the day, the Maywall comes up. Perfect timing there from Tom, but it looks like a little bit of protection there from Andrew as the Molten Core trying to prevent the retreat of UTA will at least claim an immortality field. The rest of UTA moves back to spawn to see if they can't regroup for this next fight.
In this next fight, Captain Jack, it's going to get a little bit chilly. We got double blizzards online. Here we go.
We see the blizzard coming out. Andrew able to icicle up in the final moments. Papa KJ is the only one that goes down, though, and that payload's moving forward once again for UTA as the picks just continue to come on in. With 4 minutes on the clock, NAU have to find a way to fight back.
And they didn't even force the blizzard out of Andrew. Worst case scenario, you lose your blizzard, don't really get much value out of it, and now you're going to have to deal with one coming on your own. But first, the sound barrier comes out.
Sound barrier invested by Stank Badge to try to hold everything together. The Blizzard now invested to see if they can keep everyone out of the way. Andrew gets separated out from the rest of the team as the Shatter is able to find Tom right on the noggin. Sleep Dart comes in, shuts down Dez's Deadeye, and Plebbles, although juggling away the Cassidy, it's not enough to hold it all together. Kitsune Rush now thrown in from Seikana, but cannot touch the point in time. Round 1's complete with 3:17 on the clock for UTA.
It's a pretty beefy time bank for UTA, so they got to be feeling pretty good. That could have been a lot worse, all things considered, for Northern Arizona. They're able to get that huge team fight win off the back of that Nano Annihilation. But as soon as UTA collected themselves and re-engaged, it just, the snowball continued. It was almost like, you know, you push a snowball down the mountain and it's collecting that snow and getting bigger and bigger. And then it hits like a snag, like a rock gets in its way for a second. But then gravity just hits it again and it just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. That's what it felt like for UTA.
Yeah, the Mavericks are definitely popping off right now. Not surprising considering their positioning in the ranking. 3rd place overall after the summer, words, during the fall semester, and now coming into the spring are showing that motivation has not been left yet. I find it kind of surprising, though, that we see Tomato Lord starting off on this Wrecking Ball. Do you think that's going to be enough to hold the line?
I was gonna bring that up right now. For a second, I actually thought my screen was frozen. Dez was so perfectly still on that echo. I was worried there for a second. But yeah, the ball, it's going to be tough, especially when we see Tom. I think they were going to play the May, it looked like. Yeah, so this slowing effect could really affect the ball a lot. Andrew already going down. Like you mentioned, very fragile, this composition.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the defensive capabilities, but without Tomato Lord really being able to hold a line, this is going to be hard for them to do, and the supports are all alone there on the high ground. Sekana able to teleport up and find Shing in the end. The only one that's nearby the objective now is going to be Tomato Lord, but already under half health. That's going to be first 2 ticks, probably going to be a third here if it does not end soon. And there it is, the objective captured in the final moments by NAU as Tomato Lord trying to escape, trying to stagger it out best they can, but it is all for naught in the end.
Yes, this anti-nade coming in for UTA, but it's not going to mean anything as you're just getting staggered more and more. UTA just needs a complete reset. I'm not sure about the Zenyatta anymore, having to go up against the Winston and the Tracer. I know he has a kick, but I don't think that's going to be enough to combat the vulnerability that Winston and Tracer brings to you. As we see Shing going over to the Brig, hoping to provide some protection to help out Stank Badge.
Well, we'll see how well that works. That Tesla cannon don't care about your shields, Brigitte, as we go ahead and see NAU continuing to push through this area. For some reason, Casey Dunn a little bit out of position there. And that's actually going to force NAU back to regroup with the rest of the team.
Yeah, and considering the staggers they got, they did not get the cart very far. They got it past the first archway, but this bookstore corner that it's currently on is another very strong holding position defensively. So they're going to have to try and break through this defensive wall that they have set up.
I have to say, I feel like the biggest question mark that is on NAU's side right now is Tom on this May. Like, against the Rhine, I could understand it, but seeing as they're locking in this Wrecking Ball, oh no!
What did you do, Jack?
May,
did you forcibly disconnect him?
That's exactly what I did. I said the May was wrong, and Overwatch said, okay, bet. Just immediately took out Tom from the game. We'll have to wait and see them come back. But
F's in the chat for Tom.
Yeah, F's in the chat for Tom, especially for that ult charge. That ult charge was getting really close to that Blizzard. But I got to be honest with you, Ray. I don't know, other than protecting the objective, what you would use that Blizzard on with how dispersed the team of UTA is on this ball composition.
You know what you could do, you know, those two supports are pretty slow, Brig Zen. I'd probably throw the Blizzard on top of them and trap them in there because that Zen did not have Transcendence yet, so you can maybe kill out the supports with it, but that's your only play you have with that Blizzard, generally speaking.
Yeah, all right. Well, it looks like the tech issues might take a little bit longer than we hope, so we're going to head to a quick break. When we come back, the conclusion of Kings Road to see if NAU can tie up the series. And welcome back, Overwatch fans. We are back into the action. Ooh. Unfortunate catch right there, as it paused and unpaused at a moment that I don't think everybody was ready for. So we wait and see kind of how this all shakes out between the teams. I think the swap to the Cassidy is a very smart pick there, Ray. I mean, the Mei was getting a little bit of value. I mean, those icicles still hurt when they smack you in the noggin. So I won't say that the hit scan is necessarily worse off with the Mei, but definitely having that Cassidy in tow is going to put a lot more heat on that Echo for sure.
That was the one thing I was going to bring up coming to our cameras was the Cassidy, especially trying to go up against this Tracer we've seen from UTA. If you can get, I mean, in my games I've been seeing, you get one good shot on the Tracer, force her to recall, and then you can throw that magnetic bomb on her, and she is SOL at that point. So as long as you're hitting your shots on Cassie, it's a very good counter to Tracer. You don't have the stun anymore, but the magnetic bomb or grenade still does its job very, very well.
I mean, I got to be honest with you, Ray. I'm just waiting for the Cassidy nerf at this point. I mean, half of a pulse bomb in the palm of your hand every 9 seconds. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing that continuing to be a thing that is going to be allowed in this particular game of Overwatch. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'd say
as patches come out.
I was gonna say I agree with you on that. It's just tough. You don't see a lot of nerfs coming out unless you see a player like Sojourn's been dominating, right? And we've seen such little nerfs to her, and she's still pretty good right now. Cassie doesn't even dominate like that right now. Like, it's not like Cassie's a must pick. So it'd be tough for me to see them justifying a nerf right now.
Well, it looks like Tom listened exactly to what you said and said, I think I'm just going to go back to the Mei. It was working a little bit, and I think the big thing that they're trying to use it for is to shut down Tomato Lord. But my question is, why wouldn't you just pick a Sombra at that point?
Yeah, Sombra, and even I think the magnetic bomb puts a lot of pressure onto the ball as well. It does so much damage that you're forced to just completely back out and reset and get some health back.
All right, well, we do see the Kitsune Rush invested. Not going to be enough to take down Tomato Lord at very least, as NAU ends up pulling back to Objective Alpha. Got that 69 very nice meters on the point, but gonna have to push a little bit farther if they're hoping to get the dub.
This is where things get very dangerous for NAU as Plebbles goes down and UTA continues to build these ultimates up and up. But getting the Brig is a good first step for Tom.
As we go ahead and see the Transcendence unleashed there by Stank Badge. Xing, unfortunately, falling in that fight regardless is still going to be enough for NAU to be able to push on into this. The Primal Rage is online with Transcendence gone. The healer's done. This might be what they need. Dez coming in with the duplicate, goes over to the Mei and immediately gets shot out of it. It's going to be up to Tomato Lord to try to stagger this out best that they can. Minefield invested. Will it be enough to be able to grab anyone? I do not believe so, as Plebbles continues to hold this line. Primal Rage unleashed on the field, as well as the rally of Xing to try to keep everything together. Right now, they're just looking to take time off the clock best way they can.
And this is a free Blizzard for Tom, as it's going to get the Brig.
We go ahead and see Xing falling in the final moments of that Blizzard. We see control of the objective back in NAU's quarter, but Tomato Lord isn't letting it go but a couple seconds without getting their grubby paws all over that objective. As we see the big slam coming down, not going to be able to get any follow-up on it because the team's still staggering in, but it's definitely becoming quite a nuisance to NAU.
Yeah, as Tom goes down once again, outside of these blizzards and some good headshots with the icicle spears, we just don't see a whole lot happening from the Mei. And like you mentioned, there's just so many other heroes that could get the value that you need to try and deal with this wrecking ball. And feel like if Northern Arizona really wants to turn things around, they got to make that swap.
As we go ahead and see UT Arlington continuing to hold this line. It seems that Tom is making it a little difficult for the rest of the team to get into the Mega Health Pack there. As they continue to try to fight it out, the Bay Wall separates out Tomato Lord from the rest of the team. Sound Barrier versus Transcendence, trying to save either team's defenses. Shing and Casey Dunn get traded. It's going to be Sekana finding the value in the very end. With all supports off the field, it's about whose DPS is stronger, and it's going to be Plebbles on the Raging Primate, cleaning up the field, Tesla gun in tow, and 30 seconds remaining for NAU to capture Bravo.
That was such a long, drawn out, kind of like two fights that were never really fully closed out, that they were kind of just connected together through Tomato Lord stalling. Pebbles was able to get 2 Primal Rages in that time. So Pebbles is playing amazing on this Winston, and they're just going to continue to get these staggers. Arlington cannot continue to fight this. I mean, they're wasting time, but they just need a reset.
That is true. They're able to grab Objective Bravo at very least, but UTA is still being a complete nuisance when it comes to card progress. Tomato Lord just cannot keep those hamster claws off of it.
The consolation prize for Arlington at this point, Jack, is given how much time is left on the clock, we're probably looking at an overtime finish if Arizona gets this delivered. So I think best case at this point is NAU is hoping for a draw and UTA can still force a win.
That is true. The duplicate comes out. Dez coming in on the Winton, looking for that Winton. As Tomato Lord swaps on over to the Reinhardt, looking to see if they can create some space. And it's going to be Dez and Tomato Lord just sandwiching into giant rocks into the middle area, cleaning them up with the disintegrating beam. And Dez is going to go ahead and light up that kill feed in hopes of UTA locking out this point.
NAU has a small chance to start getting some good progress going. They got to get Tom in there very quickly, and they got to throw out this blizzard before Stank Badge can build up the sound barrier. And I don't even know if they will, because they got Dez down already.
We'll see if they can make it happen. With Dez down, that means that they're definitely going to be in a much better spot to fight back. We go ahead and see the Primal Rage coming out for Plebbles, but the Deadeye shuts down the Raging Monkey. NAU continuing to fall here in the final moments as overtime ticks away. And that's going to be it. UT Arlington taking the 2-0 here on Kings Row.
And that was so unfortunate. Like they were set up to try and use that blizzard. As I mentioned, I felt like maybe they were trying to hold off on it and save it for another fight because they had the 5v4 advantage. But then once Plebbles went down, I feel like you needed to commit that blizzard and you couldn't and you didn't, and Andrew took you down, and that just was the nail in the coffin for Kings Row. UTA really flexing why they're seeded number 3 in EGFC right now, and they're hoping to make this a clean 3-0 sweep. But Northern Arizona hoping to begin the reverse sweep, and it's going to be about nailing down these compositions. Like we mentioned, we just did not understand that May pick in a Winston-style like rush composition.
Yeah, I mean, and the bigger thing is seeing the combination in heroes, right?
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see the May if they were also using, like, a Cassidy to be able to shave down every time they caught out that Wrecking Ball. But Tomato Lord is not going to be stalled out for long. They've played Wrecking Ball long enough that they know how to get away from that May quickly. And so if you're not able to dole out that damage kind of in a flash, then you're always going to have an issue trying to lock that down. So hoping to see a little bit more synergy with the picks that we see out of NAU as we head into Coliseo for our third map of the evening.
Probably my least favorite push map. I think it's everyone's least favorite push map.
Why does everyone hate this map? I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's the design of the high ground. Like, we understand you need high ground in maps because it's important for you to be able to take it and for teams to have to go out of their way to take it away. But the high ground on these defensive positions, because the point is constantly going back and forth under this bridge and going around. It just makes that high ground so important and so defensible for the defense. And I think people just do not like that.
That is absolutely true. I just wanted to note on something real quick from the chat. No asking, why was the match paused mid-fight? Well, because normally any other time we see the match not being paused when people DC, so having that auto pause on disconnect ends up helping out just about everybody when it comes to happening. It's not always the best situation, but it's better than restarting the map. And right now, NAU, they're not looking for a restart. They're looking for a rematch as they just, in a clean fell swoop, clear all of the objective except for Papa KJ in the final moments of their bodies and start pushing that bot forward.
And look how much better that looked with the Cassidy in the match instead of the May. It was incredible. That magnetic grenade just provides that extra damage you need to finish off these targets quickly. I know they're playing a different style composition, but the idea still applies to anything you're going against with this Cassidy.
That is absolutely true. As we go ahead and see Andrew and the rest of UTA pushing on forward. We see Plebbles looking to get in that back line, but man, Andrew, with the click boom of the Cassidy's Peacekeeper, is cleaning up that field in tow. Plebbles and Papa KJ are definitely putting in some work, but it's just not enough to shut down those high damage dealers.
Yeah, as we see Reaper making his debut in the match. Reaper is going to be a lot of upfront damage, especially when they know they've been dealing with this Winston. In the cinematics, Reaper's always that thorn in Winston's side, and it plays the same way in the gameplay. Those shotguns just blow Winston's up.
That is absolutely true, and as the bot is able to just barely surpass that of NAU, we see a little bit of tinnitus being handed out to Dez, but the trade comes in with the solo shatter. As we see Andrew able to take down Saikana, the beat invested trying to compete against the Deadeye of Tom, and it will be successful for now as UTA continue to hold strong of the bot and the rest of NAU have to pull back.
Yeah, UTA finally has gotten this aggression down on the Reinhardt. They're using these speed boosts so incredibly as they continue to look for stag, but they get a little too overzealous, a little too hungry for the kills, and they get punished.
I mean, Saikana using those kunais to their limit, able to find the dink booms to open things back up, and only at 36 meters does NAU retake the bot.
I thought we said the sound was shing, shing. Shing, shing, shing. As a lot of pressure being put on the Plebbles from the Reaper. That's the one thing you have to be very careful about if you're Plebbles, is you want to apply this pressure and take this high ground away. So difficult to do when that Reaper's in your face.
That is true. We see the Deadeye coming around the corner, just barely able to find Casey Dunn, though. Dez and Plebbles with the cleanup there in the final moments, as we go ahead and see the bot reclaimed by UT Arlington.
As they're going to continue to get aggressive once again, hopefully they've learned from their previous mistakes and know when to back out when it's necessary. They will have this Shatter Death Blossom combination they can use, but Dez is going to have to get himself in a good position to try and make something happen with it.
Ooh. As we go ahead. Ooh, beautiful Suzu there to protect Plebbles. Unfortunately, it was not enough in this sense. Dez in the backline finds the double kill on the supports. The only one left near the objective is Papa KJ, and that's a team kill as we see UTA lock in the butt scratch point.
And that is a huge deal on these push maps. I always talk about the importance, because even if you get wiped here, if you're UTA, you get to take another fight at the midpoint, especially in those long corridors that the Reinhardt composition thrives in. So you just buy yourself a huge advantage.
Well, we see the rotation coming out. Tomato Lord trying to tackle back into the rest of the team. Andrew, unfortunately, falling down low Tom looking to get the trade with that magnetic grenade, but is unsuccessful in doing so as Andrew continues to click head after head alongside Dez. That bot is continuing to push that UTA barricade forward.
As things are starting to look bleak for Northern Arizona, UTA gets to come back into this fight. Tom only has the high noon in his pocket. You can completely counteract it by placing a window down.
Oh my God, UTA is not slowing down at all. They said, okay, we have played with our food long enough. It is final fight time, baby. Plebbles now swapping over to the Doomfist, looking to see if they can touch in time. Seikana sending out the Kitsune Rush just enough to allow Plebbles to touch as we see the Deadeye on the objective, looking for any head that it can click, and the damage is too much for them to handle, but the Blossom comes out once again from Dez, shut down by the Pulse Bomb of Papa KJ. Is it enough? It is a 2v1 on the objective. Lucio versus Lucio Kiriko. Stegman's trying to hold on, but Plebbles gets back just in time. Holy goodness, 4 minutes on the clock, and UTA have made quite a jaunt for NAU to get back to the midpoint.
You're right, but we have seen crazier comeback stories. I was just casting a game last week where a team made an incredible comeback on this map, and that's a great start. This Doomfist is starting to make headway into this Reinhardt composition.
Well, with Plebbles already being down, that's not a good position for them to be in. Tomato Lord and Dez, the only ones near the objective, but Casey Dunn has got the momentum, finds the punch on Tomato Lord to take them out in the final moments. The trade comes in onto Papa KJ, but can it be enough as the sound barrier is invested by Casey Dunn to try to get them to push right on back, and it looks like that NAU will be able to get it back to the midpoint.
They will, but they just cannot get this tracer down.
Not.
Okay, Andrew finally goes
gracious.
down.
As we see the Meteor Strike invested, trying to hold everything together, looking for that opening pick. Actually, they're going to use it to go ahead and retreat instead. UTA had it close, but no cigar as the bot goes back into UTA's control.
Very unfortunate. NAU hoping to, as the Doom. Oh, nice counter charge coming out from Tomato Lord.
Yeah, and with that Maywall freezing them up, it's going to be hard for them to be able to hold it all together. Pulse Bomb in the pocket of Papa KJ, looking for that opportunity in the backline, but Andrew says nay. We will not be allowing any of those shenanigans here, and UTA has control of the bot and is Bass the butt scratch point.
I think it might be all but over as we see Casey Dunn going over to the Ana, hoping to make an anti-nade and take a good advantage, but UTA has 4 ultimates to commit to this fight. It's going to make things so tough for NAU.
Let's see if they can make it happen as we go ahead and see the rotations coming in. Deadeye ends up finding no one, but the Blizzard is also clear of any bodies that it could have taken down. 135 meters, just shy of that final point, and it looks like UTA are going to be able to ring it in if they're not careful. Oh, unfortunate. NAU able to fight back in the final moments. A clutch anti-nade from Casey Dunn locks the bot back in NAU's control.
Yeah, and that cheeky little swap over to the Ana pays dividends. The nade set up that team fight win for Arizona when it was looking like it was all but over. Also, Dez just kind of with that Blizzard did not really get anyone. All it did was get Andrew, who was on the edge and was just able to roll out.
That is true, as we see the amplification matrix invested by Shing. Not going to be finding a lot of value damage-wise. Desperately trying to chase down Tomato Lord right now as they head into the backline to see if they can get Casey done. We see the Nano invested onto Plebbles, though, falling incredibly low as they're trying to keep themselves alive. Anti-nades in tow, and Andrew is able to take Plebbles out before they're able to regain their composure after the counter charge. And it looks like that's another cleanup from UTA. 40 seconds left on the clock, and things are looking rough for NAU.
They are looking rough, especially with Tomato Lord coming back with a Blizzard and Dez taking down Casey Dunn. Oh man, if this isn't the end, NAU pulls something crazy. Papa KJ could come through with a clutch pulse bomb right now.
That is true. Let's see if they can make it happen, but it's going to be a long way to the finale. Tomato Lord with a solo delivery straight to levels of that Earth Shatter. As we go ahead and see Dez taking a little bit of a nap. Tom able to lock in that grenade once again, and overtime ticks away. We have over 100 meters and then some. After we get back to the point that NAU held this objective to be able to push through, and UT Arlington are already at the midpoint.
I kid you not, Jack, I just kind of did some mental math in my head. I think they have to win 5 fights in a row to be able to get this all the way. And considering the time that after the butt scratch mode happens, it's going to be tough. But they do get Shig immediately.
That might be a good place to start. The Nano gets invested as overtime ticks away. Ends up finding Papa KJ instead of Plebbles, who I believe was who they were going for. We're looking at that cleanup, a beautiful, almost getting that full one clip there, is able to get Andrew in the end. And the bot continues to be under NAU's control, although that investment was heavy.
Yeah, they're only going to have a Meteor Strike and a Kitsune Rush to come back into this fight, and Andrew has been on it with these high noons. The problem is there isn't as much sights for this next point as he would like, so his range of view and the ability to get more kills with it's going to be limited.
That is true, but it looks like we're going to see Casey Dunn getting the sleep, looking for that rotation. Oh my God, Steak Badge is just making an example out of Casey Dunn, saying you are not going to get away from us. But the bot's still pushing. NAU has grabbed the butt scratch point. Unfortunately, the only one left near the objective right now is Papa KJ. And that's going to be the cleanup they need. Team kill rings loud and proud, and UTA locks in the dub here on Coliseum.
Whew! Congratulations, UTA. They're making some waves in the standings. They just gotta hope through the. Hopefully, they can play themselves. You know, maybe they get a chance to play UTK or Delaware within this split. Because if not, they gotta really hope one of those teams starts to slip up a little bit. It's kind of out of their control now since they have one more loss than them. But they're looking incredibly strong. And even if it comes down to them being the 3rd seed and going to the playoffs, they got to feel good about where they're at right now as a team. They're looking very in sync, and they have the confidence to just – I mean, how aggressive they've been on these maps just shows the confidence of how good they know they are and that they have the skills to do this.
That is true. We're going to head to a quick break, see if we can get a representative from UTA to join us in the booth. When we come back, interview, and then our final match of Overwatch for this week here on EGFC. Well, welcome back, everyone, to EGFC. And coming in from UT Arlington, we have Andrew, a.k.a., according to Discord, the Risonator. How is it going, Andrew? How's the team feeling after that dub today?
It's going good. We feel good, but probably not as good as we want to be. There are definitely some glaring issues we have, but we're working on it and we're scrubbing as hard as we can, so.
Yeah, every week I've seen you guys just get better and more consistent and much more stronger, much more confident. Coming into the spring split and eventually the playoffs, if you guys had your perfect world, what kind of meta would you guys want that to be?
To us, it doesn't matter. Whatever the meta is we're gonna play what we want to play. The meta, we said that before this patch came out. The comp that we're playing now, we actually predetermined before the ball buffs even came out. We were like, okay, we're gonna play this comp no matter what the patch says. And then we got extremely lucky with the patch that makes us so strong. But we're gonna play what we're gonna play regardless of what the meta is. So.
Yeah, looking forward. You guys are sitting at third place right now. I'm sure you guys know who the two schools are ahead of you. You guys, do you have a certain team you'd rather play right now who you kind of want to just strut your stuff on a little bit?
We'll play anybody. I think that first loss against Delaware was definitely very tough for us. We weren't where we wanted to be as a team yet, and there's definitely a lot of probably some tempers on the team. We're a little bit upset, but it is the past couple of weeks we've really gotten it together, and we've been practicing other tournaments as well, and we're just trying to work on our teamwork, coordination. And I think we've gotten to the point where we'll play whoever. And I mean, we'll find out next week because we play Delaware again. So.
Perfect.
Yeah, we play Delaware next week.
How about that?
It'll be interesting. It'll be a fun game. I think looking back on the game, we didn't feel like they were individually better than any of us. We just thought they forced us to play their game, which now, I mean, that's not going to happen. We're going to play what we're going to play, so. I could be biting my own words, but we're confident, so.
Hey, well, we'll definitely see what happens. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for joining us for a little bit of your time. Want to give you a chance to shout out any fellow players or coaches, staff, friends, or family. The floor is yours.
Shout out to my teammates and to our esports director Noah. Shout out to Tiki, our coach. Shout out to the wonderful people of Austria. We donned ourselves Team Austria for the World Cup, and
all right,
Tom had the icon. He had the Austrian icon, so we had to show him that the Austrian people were a people and not one person. So we had to flex on him, but and then shout out to my parents. They try to watch my games, and they're very interested in what I do, so I appreciate that. So shout out to
awesome. Well, we love parental support in the esports scene for sure. Thank you so much, Andrew. You go ahead and enjoy the rest of your evening. And when we come back, we'll have the final matchup of EGFC Overwatch for this night's bout. Stay tuned.
We're different here. We don't just get up for another day. We rise. We don't just work. We endeavor. We're women and men, for and with others. We have hope, we believe, and we celebrate. Why are we different?
So we can be the difference.
And welcome back, Overwatch fans, to the midnight hour as we head into the final match of EGFC Season 4 action for this week here in Overwatch. We see Marquette University versus the University of Hawaii, another top 5 seeded team versus a not top 5 seeded team here. And I gotta say, it's almost like the rankings have kind of just laid out how the matches are gonna go. But I still believe in the underdog, dang it, Ray. I still believe that they can bring it back.
Yeah, an upset is always in the cards. Hawaii very close to taking up to that 4 seed as William and Mary finally rebound a little bit. I believe they got a win this week after they were kind of sputtering a little bit after they had some roster shakeups. But if Hawaii can continue on this trajectory, they'll be able to solidly stay in that 4th seed for the rest of the season and hope to try and catch like the UTA we just saw, Delaware, and UTK. So these are the tops of the tops. And for Marquette, I believe they're sitting at 14th right now, trying to work their way up. We're just looking for solid improvements, and like we said, hopefully an upset is in the cards for them.
Yeah, with a couple more weeks to go, we were just looking at the schedule. Currently sitting about 4 or 5 weeks away from the end of that spring split and heading into the playoffs. So for any team that's under that 10th place, got to find a way to get yourselves into that top 10. See if you can make a comeback now. But University of Hawaii, definitely nothing to scoff at, despite sitting at the 5th seed, currently at 8-2 in the standings. Let's go ahead and see one last time our map rotation for the evening, starting once again on Ilios. We'll see, we've seen a little bit of everything tonight. We've seen a little bit of the Rhine Rush coming back. We've seen a little bit of this new Wrecking Ball and Winston gameplay. This dive meta coming back into things with the recent changes. What's the expectation here, Ray? What do you think we might see going into Ilios one last time?
I've had the opportunity to cast a lot of Hawaii recently. Marquette, not as much, so I'm not as aware of, what they like to run. But from what I've watched on Hawaii, there was 1 week, or a couple weeks actually, where they were fixated on playing Sigma-based compositions. Even on
Math
New
Dealer.
Queen
Yep.
Street, they love their Sigma with Math Dealer. And they're primed to play it right now. But Akamai's, with this new patch, has consistently been playing a lot of this Cowboy, this Cassidy, and has just been so picture perfect. There was this one high noon they had on New Queen Street where Say was playing Sim, set it up, went through the teleporter, and killed like 3.
Wow.
Akamai is slick with it on the Cowboy.
Hey, those are some beautiful combos we like to see, but looking at this, University of Hawaii is somewhat matching what Marquette is coming out with, but Stomps is locking in that German soldier once again. Reinhardt looking to close that gap between themselves and Math Dealer and hope that that'll be enough to hold the line. River God Ore getting the pick on Squid is going to go ahead and slow things down. We go ahead and see Say with this rotation, able to find the double kill along with Akamai. That is going to be control of the objective going to U of H.
So for Marquette to try and disrupt this Sigma-based composition, especially since they're playing the May, they have 2 ways of trying to trap and separate the Ryan between a Sig shield and the May wall. They have to be completely grouped up and moving on the same page so nobody gets separated. But if you can do that and get into the face of this Sigma does not like it when you take this to a close quarters brawl.
Well, let's see what they can make happen as Stomps able to take down Say in the rotation. Not going to be seeing a lot of follow-up after they got sectioned out, but now we're going to be the sectioning, seeing Math Dealer going down against the wall of Axe Hand. That's going to be, it looks like that's going to be the objective as of right now for Marquette. As we see the Deadeye come out, gets nothing but a tumbleweed on the field. And we're not seeing a lot of additional picks coming in, but U of H is continuing to hold on, 50% and climbing right now as Say is back on the field, using the Icicle and the Maywall just to do everything that they can to hold this line. And it just seems that no matter what Marquette does, shut down, the Shatter is what U of H does. As they go ahead and push right back in onto the objective, the Blizzard comes out in the final moments. You think it's going to be deactivated, but no. but it doesn't find the value it's looking for regardless. Royal Ranger trying to hold on, and all that investment, nothing to show for it for Marquette as U of H are heading into map fight.
We're seeing some very high-level Kiriko play of both these matches. Perfectly placed Suzus to completely take the value out of blizzards that these Mays have been throwing in. So shout-outs to the Kirikos of the world today. But I don't know if they're going to be able to touch, given you have 4 ultimates Hawaii can throw at them. I think this might be done and dusted.
We shall see what they make happen. The Deadeye ends up finding Squid in the end. Deadeye right outside the objective. I'm not for certain who Zippy was looking for with that, but they're not going to find the targets that they want. As overtime ticks away, the Gravitic Flux brings everybody up and everybody down. U of H locks in the ruins 100-0.
Yeah, dominating effort coming out from Hawaii. But like we saw in the previous series, where UTA pretty much dominated ruins, when it came to Lighthouse, NAU was able to make that comeback and make something happen. So Marquette University has an opportunity to do that as we head to Well, and they are bringing out quite it's almost like I think about what are the most annoying worst case scenario type heroes to deal with on this map. The wrecking ball being able to boop you around which way. You have to deal with the Era constantly in the skies who can also boop you into that well. And then they're going to have this Sombra, which is an interesting adaptation. You normally pull that out when you're expecting the enemy ball to be able to hack them. And now you're able to do this. Maybe hack the SIG and get rid of the utility of the shield or the E.
That is true, and it could just be to keep Math Dealer on their toes. As we see already the hack coming in, almost taking Say out of the fight. As we go ahead and see essentially all of U of H trapped in the side room. Ends up getting the follow-up onto Stomps as they try to roll through. Axand and Squid soon behind the Peacekeeper, finding every target they're looking for. As the point goes to U of H.
Yeah, Akamai already continuing to show us what an impressive Cassidy he has, just making things happen. I mean, the one thing that the Cassidy's job is to do is to take out that pharmacy. It's not so easy because that Mercy just lends so much utility to the Pharah, but just took it out beautifully. So we're going to see pressure put onto Say, but it's not going to matter.
That is true. Say gets cleansed up, gets taken care of. And Math Dealer is able to take down Stomps once again. Seems that no matter what they play, Math Dealer is continuing to hold this line, numbers and all, as we see the Sigma battle ensue.
Yeah, the fact that the Sigma has now been mirrored shows just the power that Hawaii has, especially playing this composition. I never know what to expect from Hawaii week to week, but this Sigma is definitely one of their strong points, so it's no surprise to see them whipping it out.
That is true. We go ahead and see the stun coming out from the Accretion. Gravitic Flux invested as they go ahead and make their way around the table, and Math Dealer deals out the damage, finds the double kill, and we're 2/3 of the way to map completion.
Incredible.
Oh my god. Literally chasing Squid to the brink.
Yeah, and they only used one ultimate, so they're continuing to be able to win these fights. Oh, there's no way to do it, Akamai!
That's just rude. Can I just say how rude that is?
Yeah, I felt disrespectful, right?
A little bit. And here comes the Riptire. Not even caring that they're right outside the enemy spawn at this point. The Riptire now coming out from Axand. It looks like Stomps is just barely able to touch the objective. As we see the Tire finding Banana Lumpia, Say ends up falling to Zippy. As the point continues to be held, Squid just barely able to get there in time to be able to keep Stomps up in the fight. And right now, Math Dealer is doing everything that they can to get rid of this pesky Wrecking Ball, but it's just not enough. The Deadeye comes out looking for a target, any target to find, but is not going to find any, unfortunately. The sound barrier now invested by Banana Lumpia, looking to hold it all together as we see the Kitsune Rush popped in by Royal Ranger. Dink, dink, boom, but we see almost the boop into the well. Gonna shut that all down. Overtime keeps ticking away. The Gravitic Flux comes in, lifts them up, lifts them down. And unfortunately, Marquette not able to grab the objective out of the claws of these Super Surfers. University of Hawaii walks away with Helios.
I'm not gonna lie, Jack. This is not meant to be any kind of slight toward Hawaii, but I was kind of hope they got punished for being this aggressive and throwing all their ultimates out. It was looking it was pretty good for Marquette there for a second, but it just took them too long to finish off. Math Dealer did an incredible stall job, allowed all of those respawns to come back for Hawaii, and then their skill on their heroes just showed, able to take and dismantle down everyone on Marquette one by one.
Yeah, and as we head into Kings Row for our next map, I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I already know where University of Hawaii is going with this. They're probably gonna bring out the Sigma again. The question is, do you try to invest with all that damage coming across the bow from U of H? Do you try to see if you can play a hero like Orisa or like Ramatra, who doesn't have the way to prevent that much damage, but is still kind of counterable to the Sigma play?
Yeah, I was gonna say Ramatra was the hero I was looking at, because if you can, use that Lucio's speed and pop that Nemesis, the shield and the eat do not matter to Ramatra's fists. He's just going to punch through all of that and get the damage done anyways. So that might be your ticket to trying to make something happen. When it comes to Orisa, I think, that's probably your second best bet. But like I said, the shield and the eat affect you a lot more on the Orisa than it does on the Ramatra. That's the only reason I favor it slightly more. But the Orisa also has a better job of dealing with the incoming fire from the Sigma, because you have the baton spin you can do and deflect a lot of that damage, and
I now that you say baton spin, I now want band captain Orisa.
Yeah, that's what it makes me. That's what it makes me think of when I see the baton. Yes, yes, that's what I think of when I see that ability. I just think of like marching band on the football field and the baton twirlers just like twirling away.
Make it happen, Overwatch. Make it happen. Marching band Captain Orisa coming to an Overwatch near you. But yeah, that javelin spin, although it not only can do a lot to take space, it can only deflect so much. That accretion does find its way through that javelin spin, but due to the cooldowns that Orisa has compared to Sigma, I mean, even with as well as a Math Dealer plays the Sigma, a lot of it is going to be more on the shoulders of the supports to try to keep him alive, especially when that shield and grasp go down.
No doubt, as we are going to get you guys straight into the action, as Hawaii will be on the attack, Marquette on the defense. So we do know 100% what Marquette's going to be playing as they roll it on the defense. They are going to pull out the Reinhardt composition we saw them play on Ruins. It didn't go as great, but Kings Row tends to be that Reinhardt, like, you think of Kings Row, I think of Reinhardt, man. This is his map, his domain. And we got nighttime Kings Row. We got the best Kings Row this time.
Yes. And honestly, with the composition that Marquette's running, this is pretty standard for Kings Row. I'd say the biggest thing that we're looking at here on University of Hawaii is seeing them possibly coming out with this Winston. And based on what I know about Hawaii, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened that they came out on a dive comp like this.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go with the Wrecking Ball. This is the comp we kind of saw them roll out on last week, and they even played this adaptation with the Torbjorn. The problem is the Torbjorn did a great job in going against opposing ball compositions because it bothers the enemy facer so much. But you're playing a much more brawly type composition, where I don't think this turret's going to be as bothersome.
All right, beautiful use of the arena to be able to keep themselves out of the line of sight. Whoa! Banana Lumpia! A 5 dinker right in the face of Squid, shutting down that Lucio front line and center. As we see a beautiful timed charge coming in from Stomps. Not enough to take Math Dealer out, but at least prevents them from being havoc in their backline.
Yeah, and this composition that Marquette is playing is working out beautifully, especially in the close quarters. This ball composition doesn't have the room to work with, but losing your Cassidy is a lot of damage off the field, and this is Hawaii's opportunity.
Ooh, and the Amp Matrix comes out, but it's too little too late. Although Stomps, able to find that Fire Strike on Banana Lumpia, might be able to keep things going in their favor. A little bit of an overinvestment there, but you do what you have to do to hold the line.
I'm actually completely okay with that because they get to come back, double DPS ultimates on their back pocket, and Squid is getting really close to the sound barrier. The problem is if Hawaii just gets in and goes really aggressive before the sound barrier gets up, you're gonna have to force this Blizzard to be more defensive than offensive.
All right, well, we'll see what they can make happen. Transcendence invested, try to keep the team alive. Kitsune Rush also being pushed in. The Blizzard, I'm guessing, booped back based on the placement of where it ended up landing, and Akamai finds Stomps as they try to re-engage the objective, but it looks like it's too little too late right there. University of Hawaii throwing about everything in the kitchen sink except for their DPS ultimates. Will go ahead and lock down objective Alpha at the 2-minute mark.
Sometimes you do what you gotta do just to make sure you secure that point. I feel like you would probably do it at the cost of all of your ultimates just to secure and you don't get first point held. That's always worst case scenario. So you gotta be feeling good if you're Hawaii. And the good thing is Marquette doesn't really have anything to try and stop you. They have a high noon, but I don't know if that's gonna be enough, especially now that we're in a much more like closed off straightforward area. It's gonna be a lot harder for Cassie. Oh, Akamai!
Akamai utilizing a beautiful Dragon Strike and then the Molten Core in tow, forcing Marquette University essentially to have to choose which direction that they were going to fall into. Do I fall into the Screaming Dragons or into the Molten Hot Magma? But nevertheless, University of Hawaii get the team kill and clear their way to Point Bravo.
As they're coming back, this amplification matrix that Royal Ranger has online could be a nice little stalling factor, or at least force the positioning off the point and allow you to take some space if you're Marquette. That's what this Reinhardt composition thrives on, is being able to take space.
That is true, and Reach, unfortunately, gonna get math dealt straight into the minefield with no love whatsoever to try to hold it all together. Big Slam comes in, Stomps falling incredibly low, gets booped back in the final moments. Axe Hand sending out the Blizzard, but the Transcendence saves the day again from Banana Lumpia. Stomps is able to shut out that Omnic, but it is not enough to be able to hold the line. 4 minutes back on the clock as University of Hawaii push into the Foundry.
Banana Lumpia is on point on this Zen today. You talk about the transcendences that they've used to keep their team alive through these fights, but I want to talk about just the skill shots. We saw that 5 Dinker to open up the fight initially on the attack, and their Discord orbs just been coming through amazingly to set up Akamai and Math Dealer.
Akamai! Nobody looked behind for Akamai! Ends up grabbing the double kill off of the Dragon Strike. Triple kill as they get the follow-up on Squid. Quad kill! Will they steal the last one away? Yes, they will! 5K coming in from Akamai as we see Stomp swapping over to the Piggy.
I think it's a smart idea. The problem is with the new changes to the Roadhog is you can't easily get those easy one-shot kills, basically. So you have to have your team ready to set up with you. So Reach is going to have to be ready on this turn, but to set up rail shots after the hook.
That is true. Let's see if they can make it happen. Akamai and Math Dealer getting the follow-up on Reach and Stomps. Sound barrier invested to try to keep the supports in line, but it's not going to be enough. There's just too much damage being dealt out by U of H. And that's going to be 2:36 on the clock as the payload makes its way into Objective Charlie of Kings Row.
Very impressive overall coming out of Hawaii. This ball composition has just been so potent. And Akamai, I talked about the Cassidy on map 1 and in the previous series, but almost made me forget about how incredible the Hanzo play that Akamai has shown throughout the season. Just stellar. The dragon placements were always big. It didn't even seem to matter if an amplification matrix was in play, would always make sure to get at least 2 with the dragon strike. And you don't see that a lot with Hanzo ultimates. Sometimes, it's just used to zone people away and allow you to get the kills. But normally in order to confirm kills with it, you combo it with like a grab or like a Terra Surge. But nope, he's getting those kills without needing that with those things.
That's absolutely true, and the choice of Marquette to come in on this Junker Queen, possibly come in on this Junker Queen, is an interesting choice of all things that I would think that you would choose. And I think the biggest reason, to be honest, is because of Math Dealer. Yeah. Like, being able to get that trickle damage, when Math Dealer tries to run away, you're able to get Gracie into him and yoink him back. So he doesn't have his claw anymore. I mean, it's gonna be a wild one, that's for sure. And Reach is actually gonna lock in the Widowmaker as well. I'm worried. I'm worried.
This Junker Queen composition, interestingly enough, has been a composition that's been creeping its eye out to try and deal with these Wrecking Ball compositions. If you play it well and can have that focus fire with your Gracie knife and your Carnage, it actually does quite the job of dealing with Wrecking Ball.
That is true. We see Math Dealer getting into that backline, falling incredibly low. But is going to be able to get away in that final moment. Reach looking for that shot onto Akamai if at all possible. Ooh. Able to get in there, and a beautiful headshot after the hook. Royal Ranger there to save the day. Keep the Widowmaker alive, but Stomps will get felled in the final moments there. Math Dealer just absolutely getting in Reach's face, saying, no, we're not going to allow any more of those crazy shots.
As Say gets taken down, and this is going to be some chevrons that Marquette's going to be able to start getting on the field, but River God comes back and takes out Reach.
Objective Alpha just barely away from a first tick capture right there. Akamai getting around the rotation, the minefield there just in time. And unfortunately, we will see, or fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for, U of H will stop it just shy of that first tick being captured.
As Akamai said, all right, I've had enough of you, Reach. I'm going to take this Widow duel, but Reach said, I don't want this duel. I'm going to the Cassidy now. I don't want any business of this duel. So now I'm going to whip out this Cassidy. And I think it's smart. Like I mentioned, going against the ball, being able to have that burst damage to make him leave your team alone quicker is key. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, actually, that might have actually been a good thing now that I think about it. I mean, you saw it go into, you saw the Rampage go into the police box, but I mean, it kept them on point. It kept the enemy away from the point. It was a weird trajectory, but it still got the damage done and got the picks and got the objective. So good job on you, Marquette. 4 minutes back on the clock as they head into the streets phase.
I still don't think that was the ideal situation you were looking for. It happened to work out, and they made it happen. So, very good job from Marquette. But overall, that was still a slight mistake, unfortunately. But U of H already coming back strong on this defense.
Yeah, I mean, bringing the Sigma out, you know that you got it. I mean, Math Dealer's so confident. Picks a skin that has the eyes covered. Don't even have to worry about seeing where you're going, but an immediate swap of stomps over to that Sigma as well.
As we're seeing Akamai back on this Ashe now, since there's no Widow to have to try and duel anymore, you can get a lot more value out of these dynamites to help bleed with that burn damage.
We will see what they can make happen as we see Axand able to get an elimination onto River God with that beautiful junk trap and concussion mine. Gravitic Flux being invested, allowing it to just be a fish in the barrel shot for the Torb turret of Say. And that's going to go ahead and pull them back once again. A very aggressive Math Dealer right now, as they push into the face of Marquette.
He's going to go down with a beautiful dynamite coming out of Akamai, and that is quite the stagger coming out of U of H. Marquette cannot push into this, but they're still going to. I don't think this is a good idea.
I mean, I think it just comes down to what you can supply, and I think that the damage pressure may be there for them to do, but we see that's a choice. I didn't even really know what to say about that molten core there. The bomb was already in the back line being an absolute nuisance, but Say says, let the metal rain, as they just continue to push back Marquette University.
Marquette is just having a very hard time dealing with Akamai. The Sigma, one of my favorite combinations is Sigma, and you pair that with an Ash. I feel like she's the number one hero who benefits from a Sig Shield. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's just all about positioning, and right now Akamai is able to get so many amazing shots, but we're going to see that trap go into work. Axan getting into the back line, looking for that elimination, is able to find the double. Gravitic Flux coming out from Math Dealer to see if they can hold that line, as well as the amplification matrix of a River God. But it's going to be too little too late as they get pushed back. Squid and Stomps are going to be able to lay out the streets, but it's still only a minute remaining on the clock, and U of H will have a chance to recontest.
They will have a chance to recontest, but Royal Range are going to have this amplification matrix online, and there's not a whole lot Hawaii's going to be able to do with it. You're going to be able to throw out, do about it, I mean. So you're going to be able to throw out your shield and use your eat, but that only buys a couple seconds, and it's going to be really tough. It might buy you just enough time for Banana Lumpia to build up this Transcendence, however.
We will see what they can make happen as we see the amplification matrix coming out. U of H pushes through, able to get past most of the damage that is being wrought, but Reach says, I can play a Swedish engineer just as well as the next one. As we see Banana Lumpia doing their best to Spartan kick everyone back. That's still going to be objective Bravo for Marquette University as River God gets staggered out from the rest of the team.
Hawaii does have to feel good knowing that worst case this is probably an overtime finish. But one thing I was curious was that fight kind of played out how I thought I would. The window came out, then you used the shield and the E, and then Banana Lumpia, got the Transcendence, but just did not elect to use it. I guess they just feel confident about their ability to just finish it off right here, right now, and just not allow a point C capture.
Well, a beautiful trade of the Gravitic Flux and the sound barrier. Unfortunately, not going to be enough. Beautiful utilization of that coach gun to just barely get out of the range of the Gravitic Flux of Stomp. They sitting there in the back line, just kind of chillaxing as the rest of the team goes ahead and pushes back Marquette University. And with 40 seconds left on the clock, they have to figure out a way to push back.
So a couple of good things, couple of bad things overall. Good thing Marquette, that was a very favorable exchange of ultimates. They forced out 3 from Hawaii, and you only used 2 yourself, so you have the ult advantage coming this next fight. Bad cases, Axan's already dead, and you're looking at worst case, best case is a draw right now.
Yeah, I mean, goodness gracious. It is running into a very close quarters territory. Beautiful cancel onto Math Dealer, but not soon enough to be able to shut down the eliminations. Overtime ticking away, so somebody made it to that objective. It looks like it was Squid, but the turret finds them in the end. And King's Row goes to University of Hawaii, locking it up 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, just continuing to show why they're one of the top dogs in EGFC. And between Math Dealer, Akamai, syncing up, and then being able to have the backup of River God. They're just such a strong team, and they're just proving why. And they're showing how flexible they are, whether they play this ball-based composition or they put Math Dealer on the Sigma. They are just making it work in any scenario.
Yeah, things are looking rough for Marquette, but they have a chance to be able to turn things around as we head into map number 3. Looking to rush right on through. It is getting late here, at least on the East Coast, so we're going to try to see if we can rush on through to Coliseo to see if Marquette has a way to bring it back on this very apparently hated map of...
I mean, I'm sorry. I said this in the past before, but the sky is blue, the grass is green, nobody likes Coliseo. This is just the truth in life. I'm sorry.
You can't say nobody likes Coliseo because I enjoy Coliseo. I think that the high ground potential on Coliseo is what makes it so defendable. I don't think a lot of teams use that because I think, especially in just regular competitive, we're still in the mindset of, oh crap, like everyone has to be on the objective, or like the more people, the faster it pushes. But in push, that's not the case. You need one body on the point, and that's it. So if you're holding that high ground area to prevent an enemy from being able to push in, as long as you got someone down there that can keep the bot from moving forward, that's really all you need. But I don't know. Maybe I am just, a broken clock is right twice a day. Maybe I'm just a broken clock that really enjoys how Coliseo looks. I think the most unfortunate part is just where that fountain area is in the middle. It gets no love whatsoever. It's a pass through. Very little eliminations or fights happen in that area, and it just makes me sad because it looks so beautiful and we barely get to see it.
And how much did the city officials of Coliseo pay you for that monologue you just went on?
Well, I'll tell you this, Ray. If it was enough, I wouldn't be casting here. So,
Fair enough.
Nevertheless, it's free of charge to the folks of Coliseo. I just like the map. That might come from my bias of my wife loving the architecture and the history around Rome. I personally like the history that maps like these bring to the table. But looking at what's coming out in the teams whatsoever, looks like we're gonna have another Sigma battle, and I don't know how well that's gonna work out for Marquette.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're playing into Hawaii's hand, and it just seems like it might be like a desperation kind of move, and it's already not working great.
As we go ahead and see Math Dealer Ore finding the elimination onto Reach. That's going to be a majority of their damage off of the field, and with Squid down, that's going to be an even harder ask to come back from. It looks like U of H will go ahead and take control of this point as they attempt to clear up what they can of the remainder, and will be successful.
So being able to cast Hawaii the past couple weeks and being able to have interviews with some of them, they are a very confident team in their abilities, and they should be. They're a great team. So I feel like I could see them coming in this map very confident. Doesn't matter what Marquette wants to play, but then I could see them getting to the midpoint, seeing they're going to mirror them in the SIG and be like, oh, word, even better.
Well, we'll see if they can find a way to fight back. Reach coming back out now on the Sojourn, able to find that shot onto Math Dealer. Dragon Strike separates out the team, and the turret is able to find Reach in the final moments. But it's not going to be enough for them to be able to keep pushing through. Tactical Visor now unleashed by Axehand, and it looks like that's going to be just enough to be able to pull back the reins into Marquette's control.
The best part about that was you're able to force out Tactical Visor, but for Marquette, extremely worth it because you were able to get that stop right before the butt scratch mode was achieved. So that is just best case scenario. As Hawaii will have the ability to recontest and take another fight before much distance is gained. So they got to be feeling good about that.
That is true. 63 meters for the University of Hawaii as the Gravitic Flux comes out from Math Dealer, looking to shut this down before it gets started. Triple, quad,
oh no!
Team kill! Ringing loud and proud. 2 ultimates down and a lot of progress to regain.
That was an unfortunate mistake coming out of River God. That fight was over, and throughout that amplification matrix as the team kill bell rang. So they're not going to have that for this fight, but because they've been so efficient, like you said, they only had to invest 2. So that's not, horrible, but you just wish you had that back.
As we see the utilization of the sound barrier to counter out that gravitic flux of stomps. They're going to be able to regain control of the bot once again with Math Dealer down. It is going to be a hard line to hold here as Say is able to take the life of Axan, but the res is there to keep things going in their favor. Once again, a single ult to change them all, and the bot is back in Marquette's control.
But now that they have the butt scratch mode achieved, this is where we are going to see the power of those forward spawns. Look at this. Hawaii is already sitting here ready to take another fight as Stomps goes really low.
As we go ahead and see the Molten Core spread all over the place. And again, coupled with the Dragon Strike, I'm not for certain if U of H is just like, we got the ultimates, let's just spend them, like if you have a gift card that's getting ready to expire. I'm not for certain what the goal is here, but it's got Marquette turning tail.
Yeah, it felt like the Molten Core kind of forced them back. Then the Dragon split some of the three people were further ahead even more. Even though the res comes out, it's not going to matter. Squid goes down, and Hawaii's going to get so much cart distance now.
That is true. This is absolutely insane the way that University of Hawaii is continuing to bring this back from the brink. As we see a lot of investment thus far from U of H. The amplification matrix trying to provide a little bit of damage, but now it is Gravitic Flux versus Tac Visor versus Overclock versus Kitsune Rush versus Valkyrie. The only thing that hasn't been thrown is that Gravitic Flux of their own. U of H will get the value that they were looking for in this fight as they go ahead and pull out so many ultimates from Marquette and end up controlling the bot still until the final moments.
As it's not over quite yet. We just hit the halfway point. So plenty of time for Marquette to try and get back into this fight. But as you mentioned, they threw the kitchen sink except the flux into that fight, and they had the sound barrier to counteract it. And again, because of the forward spawns, they're forced to take another fight in these corridors before they get any distance at all.
Let's see what they can make happen. We do see Akamai swapping over to the Widowmaker. Very interesting choice based on what we've seen thus far from them on this map. But it looks like it is the pick that they need to make happen. Sound barrier once again to counter out the Gravitic Flux. I feel like Stomps is getting a little bit too tired of this song and dance right now. As they go ahead and pull back the best that they can, we see Squid doing everything possible to be able to keep them up. But River God is able to find Axand in the rotation. Math Dealer looking for that double kill with the Gravitic Flux is able to find Royal Ranger, and Stomps being the final one to fall. As we head into last fight territory, U of H is not looking to let the overtime clock tick down.
They are just trying to end this right here, right now. This is pretty much a dry fight out of both teams. The only thing we're probably going to see is this Valkyrie versus a amplification matrix. So, lots of damage versus lots of healing. Who's going to get the victory?
We will see what they can indeed make happen as we see the investment of so much utility to try to hold this line, but Math Dealer is just in the front saying, no, you shall not pass. Do not pass this bot. Do not collect $200. Do not collect your SR. This bot is going to find its way right to where it deserves. Kitsune Rush and a Tactical Visor be danged. As Reach now comes in on the Widow battle, but it's too little, too late. Widowmakers don't touch the point, and that's going to be Hawaii taking the 3-0 in their series against Marquette.
You've had a lot of good lines tonight. That's probably my favorite. Widowmakers don't touch the point.
Widowmakers don't touch point. They're always too far. It's not so much that they wouldn't touch point. They're just usually really far away from where the objective is.
No, I know. It's just so funny because like I'll be playing my games. It's like touch point. I'm like, oh wait, that's a Widowmaker. They don't touch point.
Yep.
Like,
they don't get close to point.
Their job.
Well, U of H, similar to the rest of our top five, have shown that they are there for a reason, despite after the spring split. When we come back, we'll look to see if we can get one of them in the chat room with us to talk a little bit about their experience here, and then that'll be it for us tonight. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more EGFC coverage in just a few moments. And welcome back, everyone, from the University of Hawaii. We have Akamai joining us here in the chat. How does it feel to take the dub tonight?
Feels good. Feels without too much BM expected. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers, most of the night we saw a little bit of back and forth, but the numbers really kind of had this one.
Yeah.
And Akamai, you guys have been consistently a really good team. You guys have loved the Sigma composition, but recently we've seen you pull out these ball adaptations. With this win, you guys actually go up to the number 4 seed overall, just past William and Mary. Looking at some of those teams that are ahead of you, I believe it's UTA, UTK, and Delaware. Is there any team like you guys are just itching to play? Like maybe there's like a revenge factor, or you just want to play that team really bad?
So we currently have 2 losses, and one of the losses was last semester, and that team I would like to play again. I cannot. It was I think it was the number 1 seed at the time. I think it was UTK.
Yeah, UTK was undefeated for the longest time, and they recently took an L. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they are someone that we want to play, but we also want to play the other top teams because we believe that we can. Number 1 might be a little is going to be difficult, but number 2 I think we can get for sure.
All right.
Yeah, you guys were really flexing your stuff today. Just out of curiosity, we saw you play both the Hanzo and we saw Widow. We saw lots of Cassidy. If you just dream world and you could just play your favorite hero over and over, who's your favorite hero to play?
Ooh. Hanzo's my OG. Like, he's the first person I put 240 hours on. But then Ash came out, and she's the person. She got me to GM. So, and I think I'm at like 320 hours or something like that on her now. So I think I have to say Ash.
Okay.
I mean, Ash just has so much utility, and I mean, we see you using it in spades on the field,
Works
using
so
that
well
coach
with
gun
Matt
to barely get out of Gravinic fluxes, using that dynamite to just barely hop and poke and be able to hit that dynamite like right over a landing. Just a beautiful usage of the character overall. But congratulations to University of Hawaii for your victory tonight, and thank you, Akamai, for spending some time with us as we close out the evening.
Thank you. Nice.
All right. Folks, that's going to be it for us here at EGFC. Ray, it has been quite an interesting day of Overwatch, but I feel that folks should know that we don't just do Overwatch on this channel. We do a lot of other games. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that heart, punch that bell, so you get notified every time EGF comes online. You can also head on over to Twitter at officialEGF for all of the amazing content that they bring to the table and where you can catch some of your favorite teams in the upcoming stages. Ray, anything else that you want to talk about before we go ahead and sign off for the evening?
Again, like I said, just follow EGF. I believe we have Valorant tomorrow is what's on the docket. So
I believe so.
Another widely popular game. So if any of you guys are some Valorant enjoyers, really make sure to go tune into that.
Special shout out to our producer, Juke, always running stuff behind the scenes, keeping us on our toes. We greatly appreciate it. From Ray, myself, and all of us here at EGF, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.